Core, everybody. We talk about video games here on Core. I'm Scott Johnson with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger. And it's a good week for video game talking because there's some stuff going on. We had a Sony showcase. They just called it the Sony PlayStation Showcase. I think they should call it the Fall Showcase. Don't you think? Or maybe just a different word altogether, because showcase makes me think of my mom watching Come On Down show in the middle of the afternoon.
Price is Right?
Yeah. Doesn't that say there's something showcase or whatever? Showcase showdown? I don't like that.
Showcase is an old school word. It definitely feels TV circa 70s, 80s.
Yeah, it's old. It's old.
90s even. Yeah.
We're old enough without this, so please, let's not call it showcase. Anyway, we're all here. We're going to talk about all the stuff that happened this week, and we're going to start with, a little bit of news, maybe. So, a couple things. I'm going to do this one up top just because it didn't get announced, and so the rumors were not confirmed, but they still remain rumors, and there's more talk about it even today. I don't know if there was anything confirmed quite yet, but there is apparently a new Twisted Metal game in early development at Sony. And I'm excited about this because I like that series a lot. Twisted Metal Black ate, I can't even tell you how many hours of my life playing that game. And I'm still a little surprised to this day that somehow during the heyday of everybody trying to do a popular Me Too, Fortnite kind of battle royale style game, that Sony didn't jump on that as fast as they could and create a Twisted Metal game that had a battle royale mode. Because right now, if you said, hey, Scott, do you want to play battle royale? I'd say, no, I'm not. I'm kind of done. I don't care anymore. But would you like to play it in Twisted Metal's universe? Hell yes. I would play the shit out of that. Only one car can stand, and it's going to be my car. Anyway, how do you guys feel?
It sounds like a great idea.
It does, right? Oh my gosh,
it's fresh enough to be of interest at least.
Yeah, I would play the shit out of it. Bo, do you have
Twisted Metal Fortnite?
Do you have any love for the old Twisted Metal franchise?
I remember when it was a big deal, and I know I played it a bit at a friend's house, but it was very cool at the time. But I never really personally got into it myself.
That first one comes out on the PlayStation 1, and I remember thinking, this is maybe the greatest. Video games are never going to get better than this. I felt that way for a few days. Where I just thought,
I remember how important that game was.
Yeah,
at the very least.
Because it's just
I think Twisted Metal 2 was maybe, it was either 1 or 2 was maybe the first time I ever saw a PlayStation being played and got to try it myself.
Yeah, and
I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, this game is insane. I love this. Will all games be like this? Like I was very very excited about it, and for whatever reason, I was way into it every single time I played it, and it just was never a series I ended up buying. I don't know if I just always fell for reviews, which traditionally Twisted Metal hasn't always reviewed particularly great, despite a lot of fan love behind it.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of had this like weird interest in it, and I think the closest I ever got to getting back to it was they made a Star Wars version of it.
Oh.
I don't remember what it was called. It was
I don't remember
the
this.
Vigilante 8 people made like Star Wars Crash Derby or whatever it was called, and I remember playing that one because you could just hover around as Boba Fett shooting people.
You've played a lot of obscure Star Wars games that like I've never heard of.
Yeah.
This is another one.
This might be one I thought I would know about this, but I have never heard of this thing. This sounds
somebody
amazing.
in the chat should probably know. We'll look at. I'll see if I can
someone find
it.
this thing because I love unearthing, like, when they used to jump on trends back in the day, and licensing games wasn't the big business it is today. People usually, a license usually meant your game was bad.
It was called Star Wars Demolition.
So I remember this now. Now it's ringing a bell.
Keyboards go. Let's look it up.
So did you have this? You played this?
I owned this one. This one I ended up getting. Because, because Boba Fett, look, they put him right on the cover. They knew who they were trying to get. They put him right there.
They were
You could be a Rancor stomping around. Like, that was neat.
They were straight up riffing on Twisted Metal. I didn't know that. Could you do like a walker, like a bipedal? Oh, look at that ATST over there. Yeah.
yeah, you could.
Okay. All right. Sign me up. I'd play this.
So
I'd play
I
this
played
now.
that one
Yeah.
because they put Star Wars on it, and that was all I needed as a child to be able to be into something. But also, if you want to know another obscure one, because everybody made one of these, and everybody knows Twisted Metal, and everybody knows Vigilante 8, but the other one is WWF, now WWE, made a version of this game as well.
Car combat game.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time where car combat was the hot business, and there was a lot of different sort of interpretations of that. This Star Wars game and Twisted Metal and Vigilante 8, they were very much like, here's an open space, an arena kind of, and you're going to just battle it out in this arena, and you're going to play Quake style until you're all dead or until the timer goes down, and then we'll figure out who has the most points or whatever. And then some kind of campaign that was, but again, it was just like a series of those kinds of experiences. The other kind were like Wipeout, the Sony Wipeout, or games where you had guns, but you were actually racing, and the guns impeded your opponents and that sort of thing. For some reason, the one with wrestlers doesn't ring a bell to me at all, and I don't know why. Oh no, yeah, it does. I remember this.
Yeah, it does. Once you look at it, you're like, oh, hold on, I do remember this existing.
Yeah, I
What's
totally
it called?
remember this.
What's the wrestler one called?
Let's see. Not Armageddon Riders. Hold on. Where's the name? Why won't they give me the title? It just has all these pictures of it. Hold on. It was called
Crush Hour.
That sounds
That's it.
right.
WWE Crush Hour. That's it.
Oh my god.
I know.
Man, all I gotta say is graphics were so bad back then. I'm watching this old gameplay.
Oh, I know, dude.
It's
so
how
bad.
was this the most amazing thing in the universe at the time?
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's the same with even like Twisted Metal looks like shit. If you go watch the early stuff, even Black from the PS2 era does not look that great anymore. But now's the time you could just go nuts with that thing fidelity wise. The game modes, we know so much more about multiplayer now than we did back then. There's so much more you could do. I would love it.
It's funny we don't have any games like did the popularity of this just fall off a cliff? And because I can't think of a single race car deathmatch game like this.
Closest thing I can think of is the one we played a bunch, the soccer one. Why can't my brain say the word?
Oh, Rocket League.
Rocket League.
Yeah.
Rocket League is kind of like a spiritual successor, but no guns, I guess is the big difference.
Yeah, it's not really a demo. Like, your goal is getting the soccer ball in the net more so than destroying the other cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm watching Crush Hour right now. It seems like you're just trying to crush the other players. There's no race.
Yeah, it's just blow them all up.
Looking at a little
Here's
bit
my
of-
favorite detail about Crush Hour.
What's that?
Is I want you to just hear the beginning of the plot as
Okay.
listed on Wikipedia.
All right, go.
The plot of the game consists of Vince McMahon ending up having control over all of the television networks, making WWE superstars feature on any TV show or commercial that he wants. His newest project, titled Crush Hour, is a demolition derby-style show featuring over 30 of the WWE superstars in their own custom cars with guns on them.
Wow. Wow.
So,
with guns
you know,
on them is how that ends. That's fantastic. Amazing.
I think this story could be true.
Yeah.
Plausible.
Yeah.
Except for the part where he would own all the networks. I don't think that would happen.
No.
But if he did, everything else about the plot of this game sounds accurate.
Yeah, that sounds real to me. So I'm
Probably
watching
more affordable in this internet day and age where people go online to
Yeah, for
watch
sure.
things. So
I'm watching some old PS1 footage of Twisted Metal, and really, really ugly. But at the time, no game was doing this. Like, this didn't exist. And then,
It had some crazy like environmental change things. Like I remember, and it might be Twisted Metal 2 where this was, but like you could be in Paris, but you could destroy the entire Eiffel Tower and it would actually like collapse.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
the arena wasn't the same because you met certain objectives. Like
Yeah.
they just did some really cool things. I think the hardest part of all of these games is it's never really controlled super good.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, if somebody can get a game that plays and controls really well on modern consoles and all that, I'm all for it. Like, put guns on cars and make the cars shoot at each other that's all you need.
Yeah.
And I will be on board.
I kind of
it's
agree.
the turning thing. It's the aiming and turning thing. Like,
Yeah.
so I was playing that Art of Rally a little bit, just trying it out, and I'm like, turning was so hard in that game, and I'm like, I think people who play driving games want it to feel like a car,
Mm-hmm.
and then you realize cars are not really designed to turn on a swivel the same way a person is, like in Call of Duty, where you can just flip around. So they have. That's where it feels bad. It's just like either they don't please the people that want things to feel like a car,
Yeah.
or they don't please the people who want it to feel like a good shooting game. And car physics be damned.
Yeah, I feel like part of what made the Twisted Metal games work so well is they were so ridiculous and over the top. It was so Mad Max sort of that there was never time to question anything. It was just like, you're in a cop car and it shoots flamethrowers and let's go. Like you didn't have time to think about whether you liked any of this. You just knew that this was a concept you were into and you're going to play it. I'm watching Crush Hour now, and that was PS2 only. I didn't realize that wasn't a PlayStation 1 game.
I mean, now if someone were to do it right, not only would you have cars that look good, but you could have all kinds of pieces flying off, like destructible cars, like as they get junked up, realistic dents where they get hit. Like if you really wanted to go mondo on this thing, then like
you could go nuts.
The hardware is there for that.
Absolutely, and not only that, now you've got massive. You could see 128 players starting in a massive arena and having that thing close
like
in.
a true demolition derby.
Yeah.
Like I've been to a couple of those in my life. A lot of drivers out there just smashing their cars. It's a sight to see. It's very cool.
Like I feel like this is the genre. If you're gonna do battle royale in the future and you want me to be at all interested, this is how you get me. Is that game?
And do it like Apex Legends, where they drop the cars out of planes and the cars are all shooting at each other as they're falling out of the sky. Like do big.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they? You jump out of the car, you jump out of a plane like, Fast and the Furious style or whatever, and then land where you want to land. All your car upgrades for speed, more gas, bigger machine gun, more ammo, whatever. It just makes itself. This is a game that's already made. Someone just needs to go code it.
You close off the circle as it gets closer and closer, and, all the same trappings of a battle royale, but with cars.
Yeah, and it would... I'll tell you what, here's a controversial statement. I'm going to freak everybody out with this. That would get me to buy a PlayStation 5 sooner than anything I saw in their event yesterday. Oh, snap!
Oh.
You are pretty salty about this event. I'm looking forward to talking about this and finding out why.
I'm not that salty. I'm just
makes sense, though. It's an underserved genre, right? Like you think of we got tons of 4-player co-ops. It's like no one's talking or thinking about this, so there's room for someone to ace it and be the game because no one's making.
Because no one's doing it yet. Don't you wish we could do it? We could just be game makers and go make it.
If only we had knowledge and skills and tech savvy.
Someone wants to hire me as the king of a game development team, or maybe is king the right title? Whatever the
yeah, it comes up all the time.
Yeah, they do royalty terms these days in these companies.
Do what I say. Like I dream up all the stuff, and then please execute it.
Yeah. So I'm on board. Let's get it done. I want Bo to be my king, my corporate king, and John and I can work under you. It's fine. I have no problem with that. Let's do it. Let's make this game happen. All right, anyway, so that's the thing. We'll, talk more about it if it actually happens or not. Titanfall 2 game vulnerability scares players into uninstalling, but probably not as big a deal as the internet says. So I didn't see any of this.
I got on Twitter the other day and saw Titanfall 2 trending, and I was like, well, that's an interesting notion. And we've had a couple people... really just one, but I'll give him a shout out, who keeps saying like, why aren't you guys talking about the Titanfall 2 DDoS attacks? Nobody's talking about it. And that was why, because nobody's talking about it, so we didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. But apparently Titanfall 2's online has been seeing some issues with DDoS, and now most recently a Discord kind of exploded with an announcement that there was a vulnerability in Titanfall 2 that would allow people to potentially install actually what it said was, we don't know what they could do to your computer. You're better off just uninstalling it.
Oh yeah. And until we know, just uninstall it for now. And actually have this installed. Should I uninstall it?
Hey, that's what a lot of people think. And so the last we saw, and I don't know if there's been an update since then, But on September 8th, Respawn said, we are aware of reports of a security vulnerability affecting Titanfall 2 and are investigating. We have no other information to share at the moment, but we will update once we do. And then the update was, we're still investigating this issue, but our engineers believe that we're dealing with a simple exploit that can be used to crash games.
Oh.
We do not believe there is any more serious risk to affected players on their machines. We'll update again as we learn more.
Okay.
So there was definitely a vulnerability. Like, even Respawn themselves are saying, yes, there was a problem. But you have some people on Reddit and Discord saying, no, they can install whatever they want on your computer. And you have Respawn saying, look, we think it's crashing multiplayer maps, games. So it's kind of hard to judge where it is. I maybe use your own judgment as to whether or not you want to have Titanfall 2 installed on your computer at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
apparently there's some messy stuff going on in the Titanfall 2.
And remember this, like, this is a game which was highly thought of by critics, did not sell super well in the shadow of Call of Duties and other things that were sort of overshadowing it, but it did, well enough. And it's still my favorite single player first person shooter campaign I've ever played. I absolutely loved it. I liked it better than Half-Life. I like it better than a lot of things. Love it. Love this game. However, I don't think what they expected was, it had its run with multiplayer. Cool, great. It did its thing. That's kind of gone and done. And then a bunch of new games are out, including their own Apex Legends. And then this thing happens where Game Pass suddenly has EA Play connected with it. And everybody can play Titanfall 2, some for the first time, for free or virtually free. And it's also on sale on Steam for $10. And back on Steam, by the way, which is a thing it wasn't on before. And so all these people discovering this game out of nowhere and also discovering it has an amazing multiplayer mode. And it does. It's very good. And so it got new life, but not necessarily, latest patch to take care of latest vulnerability. And so
right.
I'm not that surprised, actually, that they found something because it's popular again. So what do you expect? That's how it goes. The internet, man, they're going to kill us. They're all going to kill us one day. Anyway, there's that. So uninstall it if you're scared. I'm going to be brave and leave it on. I don't care.
Look at you.
I don't feel compromised.
Telling everybody that, too.
Yeah, I'm going to tell everybody I've got it on my... You know what? I probably should uninstall it now. Now that I've done that. Whatever, I can reinstall when they fix it.
I think you're fine.
Okay.
I think you're probably okay. Yeah, if you don't launch it, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Scott's going to be like, I want to see what happens. He's going to launch it as soon as the show's over.
I mean, I kind of do, weirdly. But that game is very, very good. If you haven't played it out there, maybe wait for whatever patch they do, but then install it because you have Game Pass or whatever other reason, because that game rocks and it still looks great and it's a very good game. All right, moving on. Pokemon Oreos are on the way. You guys stoked for that? Gonna catch them all?
What makes a Pokemon Oreo a Pokemon Oreo?
Okay, so the outside of an Oreo, the black cookie that everyone thinks is the worst part or whatever, or some people think is the best part.
But you need it. Like, I wouldn't eat a box of cream discs.
There's a very good...
Can you clip that and remove the discs part for that?
Yeah, I think I might, actually. I'm going to mark that.
I wouldn't eat a box of cream.
There was a really good Futurama moment where Fry, it's the very beginning of an episode, Fry is sitting down in the living room in his apartment with Bender, and he's got these cookies that look just like Oreos, but they're not called that because, you'd get in trouble, I guess. I don't know. But they look like Oreos, and he's got a giant box of those. And in there, they're separated by parts. So you have to assemble them yourselves. So there's 3 little packets per cookie. One is the outside cookie on this side, outside cookie on this side, and then the middle cream thing. And they're individually sealed little air packets. Yeah. And then he has to take them out and put them in this machine that looks like a big vice grip thing on the table where you pop, bottom cookie here, top cookie here, cream in the middle, and then he has a crank that goes shunk and puts them together, and then takes it out, splits them apart, licks off the cream, and throws the cookies away. It's a great freaking moment. I wish I had video right now, but it's really funny. Anyway, the point is, it's all on the cookie, the outside. So you'll by catching them, I mean you'll find that you'll look at it and it'll be Pikachu on the thing or Charizard or some other.
How impressed is this going to be? Because the article references the Game of Thrones Oreos that they had.
Yeah. Do they?
And
I didn't
looked
know
at
that was
the packaging, and
Is that a
mostly,
thing?
Like,
Is that true though?
it looks just like the imprint on the black cookie part is just a little different. Like, it's very unimpressive, is what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah, it's got 16 different Pokemon, and I just want to point out that there's a hell of a lot more Pokemon out there than 16 of them.
Yeah, even Gen
Look.
1 is a lot more than that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
wait.
What?
we need more Pokemon.
Yeah, I agree. But they're rare ones though. So they're going to have, like the cards, you'll get a package of these and you're like, Pikachu. The freaking slow mode or whatever his name is. What's his name?
Are you talking about Slowpoke?
Yeah, Slowpoke. It's a Slowpoke in here. That no one has that yet. All my friends, they don't have it. So, you might get.
Oh my god! I shouldn't judge people. If you're collecting Oreo cookies, get help.
Well, no.
I'm gonna sell them on eBay. I got a rare Articuno Oreo, and I'm gonna sell it.
Collect all your Pokemon figurines, like nerddom. I love you, but if you're collecting cookies, like just don't. Maybe don't.
Maybe don't do that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, do what you want, man. It's fine.
People are
don't
into it.
listen to me.
In
People are into
fact, there's
collecting.
one mythical Pokemon that might prove especially elusive.
What's that?
So don't be afraid to do a little bragging of your own. No, I'm reading.
Oh, you're
from,
reading this,
the
okay.
Pokemon website.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Here's
Yeah.
the crappy world we live in.
All right.
I just had to Google which Pokemon are Oreos because I wanted to know. So that's now permanently on my Google permanent record that John Googled which Pokemon are Oreos.
Yeah.
And it makes me a little bit sad.
What a modern hellscape we exist in, man.
Are you guys gonna buy these?
No.
No.
I have no desire.
Oh, okay. I know the answer though because I looked at a picture that has all the Pokemon, and Mew is the only mythical one of the Pokemon. So I guess Mew is the rare one.
Oh.
If you get a Mew Oreo, you're go to eBay.
For the uninitiated,
Go to eBay.
you could do it.
Sell it?
Oh, yeah.
Sell it for like,
Hell yeah.
how many? Sell it for
People
more
sell
Oreos?
Doritos that look like Jesus. Of
Yep.
course, you can sell your Mew Oreo.
Yep, that's
like,
true.
yeah.
And this is nothing new. I was watching an old Johnny Carson clip for some reason on YouTube the other day. I don't know why it came across my feed, but it was forever ago when he was wearing like plaid pants and everything. So it's like 72, 3, whatever. And he's got some old lady on there who collects potato chips that look like famous people. And so she's sitting there going, and here's one of Richard Nixon. Look at him. He's like, I'm not a crook. And then, kept going through all her different her different potato chips. And I thought, today she's just an eBay lady selling these chips on eBay for $100.
She get insurance for them in case they
I
crack.
don't
Like,
know.
what a dangerous thing to collect. Like,
I don't
oh
know.
no, Richard Nixon's broken.
I'm gonna
We
start.
smushed his head.
I'm gonna start collecting Cheetos that look like penises, and I'll have
Just lost
millions of them.
$10,000.
That's most Cheetos.
Yeah,
though.
that's all Cheetos. They all look like a penis. All right, moving on to this, John. This affects you directly. That's why I pulled this story.
Okay.
Diablo 2 Resurrected won't include true ultra-wide support because it breaks the game. You can stretch it, but no true support. And you have an ultra-wide, right? Or you did?
No, not anymore. I got rid of it. It's that monitor you can see over my shoulder. I gave it to my wife.
Oh, I didn't know.
Here, I don't need this junk anymore. You
Here,
take
this
it.
is compatible with Diablo 2 Resurrected. You can have it now. It
Oh
sucks.
no. Okay, but if you still had it though, and you were like super stoked on Diablo 2, and maybe you are, would this be a deal breaker for you that it doesn't work with that monitor if you still had it?
I mean, I'd be sad about it. That's the reason I don't have the ultra wide anymore, is because it's just unfortunately too common of a thing to be told, like, hey, this isn't compatible. It's
Yeah.
sort of like, well, this is a bad example, but it's like HD DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Like you got two technologies, and like the trend is gonna go one way and forget the other.
Yeah.
And like ultra wides, are really cool and people really like them, but video games are just like, we got to get that 4K, bro. 4K is the way to go. 4K.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but I really liked ultra wide. I thought it was better, but it's just heartbreaking to have to go and come up with like solutions to every single video game I play.
I think if every game didn't feel in this day and age that they need to be on consoles as well as computers, you could almost see computers taking that. Because, like, why not sell out?
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Like if they were really divergent and we had this cultural thing like, oh, like those square TVs are for consoles. We're PC gamers and we want PC games on ultra wide monitors.
Yeah.
like I would play Civ on it. Like if you had games directly designed for ultra wide monitor, have a lot of viewports, have a lot of UI elements, like playing Diablo, those menus pop out from the side. Well, what if they didn't obscure your vision and you just had them up? I mean, I'd love that. Like, so I would love a world where you redesign PC games for ultra wide monitor, and you're a scrub if you're a console gamer on your square ass TV. You know, I get John's lamentation.
I feel it too. I agree, and I think you're dead right about. The reason standards stick is because it's usually because it's a wider stick. Like consoles and PCs are less separated than they used to be. That's just how it is. So if ultrawides were a thing 15 years ago, you could see it becoming the standard almost overnight. But you don't see that today because everything. I mean, even the new Switch or the freaking Steam box thing, the handheld coming out next year. That thing is, 16:9. Like that ratio is going to be the ratio, and it's going to be that for a very long time until something major happens. The switch from 4:3 to 16:9 made sense because we've been at 4:3 for so long, and everybody was sick of square monitors and screens and views and all that. And we're like, what if it be more like movies? Not quite full movie, but pretty close. And John's Ultrawide was like, what if we went full movie? What if we went like as wide as possible, freaking 70 millimeter film style, like the old films or whatever. Yeah. And it didn't happen. The standard didn't stick. So VHS is here, beta's dead. That's how that works out.
Can I ask you, did you try Doom Eternal on your Ultrawide? Was it supported?
I can't remember if I was using the Ultrawide at the time.
I gotta imagine it is because, like, you think of Doom, that's like it's a PC ass legacy game, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if they didn't make their game to support ultra wide so that they could play on consoles, because it's on everything, it's on Switch even. That just shows it's a sign of the times where developers are like, we need to make it for all the devices.
We could probably find out. Let's see.
I think I did, and I think they did. And I even appreciate it as long as you do something. Like Hades doesn't have an ultra-wide mode. Mm-hmm. It beyond the fact that they will put art on the side of your screen so it looks like it's framed in a really nice way when you're playing Hades on ultra-wide.
That's a nice
and like
touch
even that I appreciate. Like do something though. But I mean, there's some weird stuff in the world of ultra-wide.
Yeah, it's ultra-wide.
Doom 2016 is now properly 21:9 ultra-wide, and that is a patch that id put out not long after the release of the game. So it released without support for ultra-wide, and then they added it a couple of months later.
That's cool. Yeah, so I assume it's probably a part of it, because like at least a PC-focused company like or franchise would probably say like, we need to get the ultra wide enthusiasts something.
Yeah.
There are going to be those developers that think about those players, but they're probably far and few between, and probably like hardcore PC.
Yeah.
Like hardcore PC.
I think so too. You never
was WoW playable on your ultra wide?
Oh yeah.
WoW actually looked really, really good on the ultra.
So did Heroes was great on there, right? On the ultra.
Heroes was cheating, as Bo said, and he wasn't wrong. I could see from gate to gate when I was standing in a lane, and awesome. It was great.
One regret is like during Heroes time, not actually probably plunking down for an ultra wide because get some sweet advantage over the scrubs.
And I'll tell you what's actually really good in ultra wide, although it technically isn't supported, was Diablo 3. Diablo 3 looked janky as hell when you went to launch it on ultra wide. Like their little menu where your character's standing and all of that was broken. Yeah. It just looked awful. But then you logged into the game and it looked fantastic.
It was great in the game.
More screen to see. It was the same way as Heroes. It's just like, I just see more of the environment. The only weird problem with it is you could technically see beyond the AI for the monsters. So any monsters that were at the far edge of the screen, you could just see them sitting there idling. And because you could technically see them, but the game didn't think you could see them. So they would appear and they would just be sitting there going, we're monsters. And then if you took enough of a step close to them or fired at them, then they would attack you.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Kind of weird. But...
Yeah, there was like a weird aggro thing that you would not normally be aware of. Because I had an ultrawide for a while and I used it as my production monitor and I loved it because I could have freaking Adobe Audition running over here in an area that I never have to look at the whole time we're talking. I got, OBS or whatever else running here, and I got this running here and this running here. And it was almost like just the perfect layout for getting a ton of shit done. And then when
That's
that
a lot of real
broke,
estate.
yeah, and mine died. So I was like, well, poo. Do I get another one of those, or do I get the cheaper? Because the other thing is the 16:9s are cheaper because, again, they make more of them. And I was like, I'll just get that. So I got a 4K for my next one. And it's been great, but I missed the wide. So
looking at screenshots of like Metro Exodus and Assassin's Creed Odyssey on the Ultrawide, I mean, it looks fantastic. Like, this should be this, like, as much as maybe I'm just like, 1080p, it's fine. 1080. I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, why isn't this more of a standard? It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's
my God.
It's really nice. And the nicest ones.
I think I'm going to get one.
I mean,
I think I want one now.
There are a lot of people who can live with the whole cut off edges if the game doesn't support it, and it's no big deal to them. So I know it drove John crazy, but I don't know. I was.
I mean, maybe it's the kind of thing where you have it on a. If you can get one of those switches, like monitor switches, maybe, and just break it out. Like, you could always break it out if you really wanted to. Sea of Thieves is on there. Holy crap, Sea of Thieves would be amazing on ultra wide.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, dude.
There's Stardew Valley actually is on an ultra wide. It looks very cool. I don't know, man. Maybe you should take back your ultra wide. It's hard, but I do know the one thing is I don't think you can stream an ultra wide, right? So that's another issue. You like to do the streaming, and then I don't think there's ultra wide makes it awkward too.
You can stream, but your streams will appear in Letterbox. And so the amount of times I'd be streaming a video game and people would come in and go, "Why is there Letterbox on your stream?" It's because it's an ultra wide. Because I can stream it out, but the stream is only going to be a smaller resolution, so you'll just get that Letterbox effect. It made everything seem very cinematic, though.
Interesting. Sorry, real quick, just found out in the chat there is breaking news.
Oh,
I don't know how breaking it is because it was a day ago, I guess, but I haven't heard about it till now. But I guess China is furthering their crackdown on video games. We already talked about the whole kids can only play so many hours a week thing. Now they're saying they're not going to approve because the government has to approve games when they're made before they can be distributed. They've stopped. They're not right now. It's on hold. They're not doing any new ones. So no new games right now. So if you were some studio, that includes, like Blizzard and Immortal, by the way. Immortal's not out in China, and that's their big market target. That means, that could be really bad, like really bad.
They're shutting down. Maybe they kind of because they must I know there are Chinese developers and Chinese games, but the dominant popular ones must be foreign, right? And I think that seem to be my ignorant impression. They seem to be a country concerned with the correct propaganda, perhaps, to be distributed amongst values and social norms to be disseminated amongst the populace. This is like a massive cultural pipeline for external notions of democracy and things like that nature, that they can't control. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's
this seems like a big story. Where are we seeing
so I found it on the article I found on was MSN, but if you just do a news search on Google or any other search engine, you should see a bunch of links. It's surprising, though. Well, some of them are saying they're going to slow the process of approval. Other links are saying they are effectively stopping it for now, which I guess is the same as slowing it. Like companies like Tencent, what do you even do?
Are they allowed to play Call of Duty over there? Like, very pro-American.
I think they have a version. A lot of other countries get a version of Call of Duty.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know they had a version of WoW that had.
Maybe there's a bit of a gold rush going on, and they're having trouble keeping a hold of
controlling
things
it.
Are slipping through. I mean, who knows?
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. Just think about how many games get released on the daily, just on one platform like Steam or even the Switch's indie channel. Like, I don't know how anyone
hello,
keeps
China.
Up. Yeah, hello, China. Goodbye, America. Anyway, and I know the CCP wants their cut, but I don't think it's that simple. They could get all the cut in the world, Sidian. They could just keep getting their cut. They already do get their cut. Everything that comes in and out of China. If they want more cut, they could certainly get it. But stopping approval of these things in order to, quit having in their minds their kids grow up to be turds. I don't know. This feels
I focused a lot on the addicting aspects of it, but it's very possible it's about foreign values. Like, I don't think we feel that as much because it's not like games made in Belarus or some problem that every kid's playing in our country or something like that. You know what I mean? It's American games, it's European games. They're pretty adjacent to our values. You know, no one's like, oh my God, a cultural invasion, like of anything really. So I don't know that we know. I mean, as a Canadian, I kind of know what that feels like because literally all I watched was American shit all my life. And up here, there's like laws about how much Canadian staff you have to have if you're filming stuff up here, and television stations up here have to have a certain percentage of content that is Canadian. So you have this really god awful tripe to compensate for, you know, Cheers and Friends being on the network. And you're like, I want to watch Cheers and Friends, great American stuff, not this like I don't know, Bob and Kelly down the road Canadian crap show or whatever. You know, like there's a lot of that up here.
Sure.
So I can say that we fight against your cultural invasion very poorly, but we try. And so I can imagine China's a lot more hardcore about these things. Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah.
It could be the hearts and minds of the young people. They don't want them becoming too negatively influenced, perhaps.
Well, it's interesting. I found a YouTube video, which I'm showing in the chat room right now, that shows the differences between the American version of the wildly popular Call of Duty mobile game and the Chinese version. And they're crazy differences. Like, all their trees are pink. I know that sounds weird, but like they've got a different aesthetic. Now that's fine. I mean, maybe it more accurately reflects the area they're in or something.
Sure.
But
the colors of things is not a big
not a huge deal,
right? But who knows?
Yeah, but I'm sure I know there's differences in the plane that you fly in on. There's a difference in.
But I mean more narratively. Like, I'm talking about the campaign modes where you're fighting in America's army, a freedom-loving democratic army going to defeat tyranny, and a lot of those places have, you know, dictatorship. You're going to countries that have what America would consider problematic governments. And so while it might not be anything to do with China, it still values-wise would be adjacent, right? So maybe it's not China, but maybe it's I don't know, insert small country here that is also communist but has terrorism involved. You know what I mean? Like, there's just connections to be made, and I just wonder. I just know China. Like, I mean, I've seen it enough on like the Daily Show and what was that guy's name again? I forget his name. I want to say Stephen Oliver, but that's not John Oliver.
Oh, John
John Oliver's talked about China quite a bit on his HBO program too.
Yeah.
Stuff. You know, just the way that they kind of want to instill values among the populace. And I just wonder if they have a program saying what kind of content can and cannot go, that I have to imagine with a new video game from the freedom-loving countries of the world, maybe, you know, being given to the kids. They're less worried about the violence than, say, you know, how awesome democracy is.
Maybe, but they're also, keep in mind, this is all games, not just us. This is the massive constant flow of Chinese production happening that's being halted. Sure. So they're just saying, hey, no video games right now. We're just not doing
I guess they got to approve them, and maybe there's too lax.
Yeah,
maybe
that's what's going on.
Like, it's too much to getting through. Who knows?
It's interesting. I don't know, man. This stuff gets weird. But I will say this, a totally side note, has nothing to do with countries or why they do things. I played some Call of Duty Mobile for the kicks. Nothing I really want to get into, long term or anything. But I installed it so that I could play it with that Backbone device.
Yeah.
And I rocked everybody and felt like I was cheating the whole time. I felt kind of bad because nobody else was controlling that way. But it was like I was using the 360 controller. I was just tearing people up in that game. And of course, whatever MMR is involved, I'm sure I'm on some, entry level noob level where it's not that hard to lay waste to everybody. But
you sure it wasn't bots?
I mean, okay. Someone else suggested that. This always comes up with mobile games, right? You never know if you're going to be with a bunch of bots or not.
I'm starting to worry about all games now, to be honest.
There were a bunch of early games that were like, hey, you just started. Go show us what you're made of or whatever. And those were definitely bots. I could tell they were bots and they felt like bots. Later, I got names that were like from all over the world. I guess what I'm saying is they still could be bots, but it felt like they were people finally. And I think those attachments just make you.
Forget the bots thing aside. You pretty much stomped everyone because of your Backbone.
Just destroyed them. I felt like I'm a monster. And also, I kind of don't really care about Call of Duty anymore, but it's a pretty damn good version of that game. I mean, I don't know about the free to play stuff, and I didn't get far enough to know how I was getting dinged on any of that, because obviously those games are meant to make money and they're free to play. So, where's the hooks? I don't know, but just playing a few rounds of running around shooting dudes, it's Call of Duty. It's pretty well made.
I mean, the way I would rationalize it, if I was owning because I had a backbone, I would want to dress up so that they also remembered me in their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Like that guy with clown makeup and a pink tutu killed me over and over again.
Yep.
Ah!
Yep. Yeah, basically. So I don't know what any of this means for the long haul, but interesting stuff. Chat room, thanks for bringing it to our attention. Okay, let's get to the Sony business.
Yeah.
Insomniac is making a Wolverine game, you guys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they're also doing that Spider-Man 2 game, but and that's exciting too. Those Spider-Man games are amazing. But if I'm honest, what jazzed me the most about this presentation probably was this announcement. It's just a trailer. It's not even in game, but I didn't care. I was so into what I was seeing.
It kind of goes back to what we talked about with there are certain studios where you feel confident that you can get excited about a not actual gameplay footage trailer. And we've seen what they did with Spider-Man twice now.
Yeah.
We've seen what they can do with Spider-Man, and it's been great. And now they're taking on Wolverine, and that sounds fantastic. And I'm gonna, tinfoil hat this a little bit. I think we could even see Wolverine and Spider-Man cross over now.
Sure, why not?
Maybe this is the start of the Marvel video game universe.
Sure.
The MVGU.
Yeah. If I were
a whole thing.
If I were those guys over at Square, I'd just throw that Avengers game away, because there's potential here to just do this right and start having all these characters cross over and do stuff. Spider-Man 2 clearly has got Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Venom, and possibly other characters all hanging out. Like, what's to stop them from a crossover like that? It'd be great. And that's the thing. I immediately trust that developer intrinsically. So as soon as I saw this, I'm like, well, yeah, that's going to be great. Whatever that is going to be great. I don't even question it. That could be a system seller for people like me. I don't know. But for the most part, and John alluded to this earlier, and I'll go ahead and just talk about it. The event itself, or that presentation itself, really left me hanging, because what I was looking for in this one was like, all right, Sony, now we're a ways into this thing. Microsoft's got kind of their plan, their strategies. A lot of it involves services, and those are become pretty valuable services for those who like it. So what's your answer to that? And also, if you don't have that, at least what games are you going to show me I don't already know about? And for the first huge chunk of that event, it was all third-party stuff or games that are coming to other platforms, including some of their own, like that Nathan Drake remaster collection is coming to the PC. So that's not even an exclusive on their platform coming to PS5. The other one that struck me was the KOTOR one. That's coming to PC, same day one that they'll get it. And there's a delay on other console versions, but it's coming. It'll end up on the Xbox. It'll end up on...
Okay, can I play a little devil's advocate?
Yeah, go.
So I'm with you as far as the Game Pass. I did hope that they would kind of say, here's our plan, here's what we're looking at, here's a cool thing we're going to do, because we know they're thinking about it. We've heard enough rumblings to know something's going on over there, and apparently they aren't ready.
They have to.
But here's the only devil's advocate I'll give them. When Microsoft does a show and their game is coming on Xbox and PC, we don't go, well, that's not Xbox exclusive.
No, but we'd say console. We'd say console exclusive, and you could say that about Nathan Drake, I guess. You could say
we
that.
We don't go, that doesn't really count as their announcement. It's coming out in other places. I don't think we have to hold Sony to that same standard either.
I guess what I'm saying is,
I think it's possible for Sony to show KOTOR and say, it's also coming out on the PC same day, and go, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but they weren't saying that. They were doing that thing that all of them do, usually, which is act like a thing is coming to them and them only, and then immediately.
That is true, because I had to do research to find out if KOTOR was PS5 exclusive, and they tried really hard to make it seem like it was.
Yeah, across the board, a lot of stuff they showed was that way, and They have some true exclusives, and they look incredible. We'll get to those in a minute. But there was a huge swath of that where it wasn't it's not a problem to have those things on there. In fact, it's great that they're on that platform. That's wonderful for owners of that thing, that they're going to get some of these great games. It just felt like they were trying to like kind of hand wave it away as if we're supposed to assume, oh, that's all just coming here and nowhere else. Like there was definitely a vibe of that for a big chunk of that. And then when they finally got to stuff that was like PlayStation Studios games, all of that looks stellar. The God of War sequel looks insane. We already, knew about it, but we hadn't seen gameplay. It looks great. Honestly, it looks a lot like the one that came before it, but that's fine. That's an incredible game.
It's okay.
It's more than okay. It's an amazing little series. They figured out how to pull that thing out of the ashes and make something amazing with it. And that's great. And everything they do with Spider-Man, everything they do with this Marvel stuff, all for it. Insomniac can do no wrong. Don't care about Gran Turismo at all. I know that it has its fans, and that's great. They showed a ton of that, and I'm sure they got what they wanted out of it. Not interesting to me at all. Car porn is for some people. It isn't for me. So on the whole, I just kind of was like, well, all right. Why? I still don't know why I should 100% buy a console from you, even though I can't really get them right now anyway. But what's the where's my value proposition? It can't just be there are 3 games coming to this thing. It can't just be that. It has to be, that I can only get there. I mean, it has to be something more than that. And I'm not saying it has to be some equal to Game Pass. Just something. I just need something out of them. And they didn't give it. It was just a lot of, here's a trailer of a thing you can get anywhere. Here's another trailer of a thing you can get anywhere. Okay, here's a couple of our own trailers. And in between all those, we're going to do abstract weird things with our circle, square, X, and triangle from our iconic controller, which is iconic, and I love it. But again, you're being a little precious about your freaking buttons. and then to say statements like the only time they ever said words, guy gets up and goes, we know how important the legacy of PlayStation is. That's not an answer to the complaint that has been you can't get old games to run on your new console, either with a service or otherwise. Like, where's your compatibility? Where's your bringing games forward? They had, right before the presentation, had confirmed that no more games have free paths. If you already owned it on PS4, nothing else will have a free path to the PS5 version, which Microsoft and fans of what they're doing are running with because they're still offering tons of stuff like that. They're treating it like a PC more than ever.
Didn't I see a news story that they were trying to do that with the new Horizon, and there were so many complaints that they have now walked that back?
Yes, same thing.
That's a big missed opportunity, and I am with you. So I didn't watch the entire presentation. I kind of picked the trailers I wanted to watch, which sounds like was maybe the more ideal way to go about consuming this content, except for the fact that I might have missed some stuff that I might have enjoyed. But beyond that, I missed all the little buttons flying around and just got to see the sweet trailers that look good. But I do think, I think right now the case Sony's making to me is, when that console came out, it was like, okay, you want Spider-Man, right? Well, the best way to play it is on this console. And I said, okay, well, that's a game. I can wait. Yeah. And then they said, but you want that Ratchet and Clank. And I'm like, okay, but that's 2 games. I can wait.
Yeah.
And now they're like, Horizon? I'm like, you're only at 3. Yeah. Spider-Man 2? Okay, you're at 4.
Yeah.
Wolverine? 5.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like it's just, okay, at some point they're going to have enough games where I go, fine, I will have, this won't be a Wii U. I'm not going to just buy Mario Maker and call it a day on your console. There will be enough there. But I do wish there was something else to it. Certainly would be more compelled to do it if I could buy the stuff for PS4 and know I would have it on PS5 waiting for me. I think that's probably the biggest misstep, because that's the reason I'm not buying this stuff already, because I keep telling myself, well, when I get a PS5, I will buy it then. Yeah. And that's what I've been kind of saying all along. So when Sony comes around and goes, well, no, you're not going to get any free upgrades, I go, oh, well, then I just won't buy it now at all.
Yeah. I actually think you did consume this stuff in the right way. I think the presentation itself was okay at best, and then it really sang, because the games they showed at points were really amazing looking and sounding and conceptually, things that we don't have gameplay for, like Wolverine. We can just sort of imagine what a top shelf studio like Insomniac might do with a property like that. But the rest of it just kind of landed on me like, oh, all right, well, I like these Japanese hack and slashers, look pretty fun, I guess. I don't know, but those will be everywhere. Those aren't going to be just here.
Talking about Project Eve.
Oh yeah, what was the deal with that? Did you? Oh, it was a Korean game, wasn't it? Did you?
Project Eve was like, Lady McCott stuff versus all the most disgusting tentacle aliens in the universe.
Yeah.
Basically.
Did that grab you? Were you like, oh?
Yeah, I was like it grabbed me probably in the way it intended to grab me. If I'm being honest, it was like, oh, it was a nice looking lady doing stuff there, and I was like, what's this game about? Yeah. And then I was like, okay, hack and slide. I was like, won me over. I was like, not normally the kind of game I play, but I was interested. It seemed to have a lot of hype behind it. Whenever I looked things up about it, like, what is this Project Eve?
People are excited about that one. What was
but
the other one?
That's not an exclusive either.
No, it's not.
I looked it up. That's going to be on Xbox, probably on Game Pass at some point. Like,
yeah. I mean, maybe not. I mean, even the stuff that isn't Game Pass bound, like even the when they showed Returnal. No, sorry, the new one that's like the rewind thing. Why can't I think of the name? Deathloop. So we've known about it for a while. This was a Bethesda joint, and they announced it as a PlayStation 5 exclusive before the Bethesda acquisition by Microsoft. And now that Microsoft owns that game, they're still launching it as an exclusive launch title on PlayStation 5. They're honoring that contract. But I think that's now open to like, well, there's a window, and then when that window's done, it's going somewhere else. So by the end of this thing, I just was like, well, okay, if you're going to be the console of exclusives, and you are, that is Sony's strength, and it has been for a long time. Right now, it's put them in a weird position to have that be the biggest strength, but it is their strength, and they're amazing first party titles for the most part. If that's what you're going to be, then I needed to see more reasons why I wanted to be there, and I didn't find them. Whereas I know with Game Pass, I'm going to get the stuff I really like, but then also a bunch of surprises and small things and weird things and middleware and B-level games that I would otherwise maybe not have seen. We've talked about this before, why Game Pass does that. And that to me is just a better value than the other. So I guess what I'm saying is it wasn't a Sony versus Microsoft thing for me. I was actually really super stoked and hopeful that I was going to be, I don't know what. My expectations were clearly too high. But I came away going, man, I still don't know. Even if they were like on shelves today, I don't know if I'm going to go throw money at it yet.
I think they just end up getting people in some way. One of the things I learned, I think Genshin Impact is a PS5 console exclusive.
Yeah.
Probably Final Fantasy 14 is as well.
It is, yeah. Totally is.
So I think they just find their way to get people, because I know I do not care about a PS5. Like, I'm just like, whatever. Like, I'm not going to play Spider-Man. Oh, well. Like, there's a million games. Then Final Fantasy Remake 2 is going to come out, and I'm going to need that damn device to play it, because I need to play it right. I think they find their way. I think with their exclusives, it's not overwhelming or crazy, but they find a way to get everybody somewhere.
Yeah. I think
it's
that's
just
fair.
been working for them, and maybe it still is, because I think they're neck and neck in terms of consoles. Like, I don't think.
No, they're doing great. They're doing just fine. There's no slowdown for either of them at the moment, and Sony not being able to meet demand has less to do with product slowdowns and way more to do with demand, and that's great. They're doing great. It's just
they have a sub-service too. They just don't advertise it, or it's not talked about.
It's also not great. It's okay, but it isn't great. Yeah. Like PlayStation Plus gets you some free games per month. They're usually 3-year-old games.
So I mean, but then the thing might be like, well, yeah, their subscription offerings not great, but their exclusive offerings have been better than Xbox, and maybe that'll change with Bethesda on board and some of the developers they got. But
that is definitely Microsoft's plan or theory.
There's nothing on Microsoft for me to the level of Final Fantasy Remake 2. Like, my brain was just going to explode if I don't get to play that game.
Yeah, that's true. Microsoft has a lot of things I'm gonna be excited for, but they have nothing that's going to make me go, oh, I want a console for this singular game.
Yeah. They're trying to build that, but they don't have that yet.
Yeah.
Some people are going to feel that way about Halo. They always do, but what's the next? I don't know. Like for me, there's a lot riding on not Star Citizen. What's the Bethesda game?
Starlander. Spaceman.
Star-Lord.
Starfinder?
Starfield. That's it.
Starfield.
You were close, Bo.
Oh, Starfield and Friends.
Starfield and
Arbuckle.
Oh, I hate Mondays. And where's the spaghetti? It can't be lasagna because I get in trouble.
John Arbuckle. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. So Starfield. Those kinds of games, when they come to fruition, they have the potential of changing the narrative about who has what in terms of, and I'm only using that one as an example. There's plenty more out there. I'm actually more interested in what Obsidian's working on various games, and I am almost the mainline Bethesda stuff. But anyway, the point is whatever. What else are they gonna do? The PlayStation Now service, which is their streaming service, streaming game service, literally uses Microsoft Azure as their backend. They're using the same backend as Microsoft uses for xCloud. And of course they do, because Sony doesn't have that. They got to have somebody's. It's either that or Amazon's or whoever else is big enough to do it. So it's just a weird time, man. Such a weird, odd moment in gaming. And I love it because we get to talk about it and all that. End of the day, if that Wolverine game comes out and is amazing, that might be where I get pushed.
What is your wish list for a Wolverine game? What are the things you want that game to be?
Open world, so Spider-Man-ish, in that regard.
I'm with you.
Cigar smoking.
I think I might want it to be linear.
Oh, really? I don't know if I want it to be linear. I mean, you could convince me though with the right story, and it's
like
the right
a
people.
really good, Logan story focused in on him. I don't want to run around the world as Wolverine. He doesn't have cool powers like Spider-Man. What's he going to do? Here's Wolverine on the bus going from uptown to downtown. Traversal, he's just going to run.
Maybe he does, and that's just something that's never been explored, because isn't he kind of Wolverine-y? Maybe he actually can hop onto trees and, no, seriously, climb up into a tree and ambush, the double fist into the chest style, just going shrink like that. Got to climb up into a tree and then go and then stab in a diving motion on a guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think they can lean into the feral animal, he's a squirrel or something, maybe not a squirrel, but whatever, a mountain cat, that climbs up the tree and I just think it's so unexplored in games because they always get Hugh Handsome Jackman to play it, and he just wants to look handsome, and they don't have him climbing up trees. They need to get a real. He's a feral animal, right?
That's the
totally
idea.
can be traversal all crazy.
So here's what I want. I think you can do some linearity, but I want Canada, and I want him hunting down Weapon X stuff, and I want him in the snow, and I want him pissed, and you can do that linearly.
He meets the Trailer Park Boys at one point, and they're like, "Oh, hey, look, it's the Wolverine guy from the Marvel MCU movie."
But
he was real.
What part of Canada what part of Canada was it supposedly his origin is? It's up in Vancouver or something, right?
I don't.
Secret lab.
Well, that's where they always film those movies. I think it was more probably Saskatchewan, middle Canada, if I had to guess, where it's a little more desolate. So
all right, so I can't remember. It probably says somewhere in a comic, but sorry, one quick note. Just for nerds out there, in that trailer, if you go look at it, watch it very carefully, there's a license plate hanging on that bar wall that says the numbers and letters HLK 181, which is Hulk issue 181, where Wolverine was introduced in comics.
That's a cool throwback. I wonder if it means Hulk would be.
I know. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. What a cool crossover would that be? But yeah,
I think again, this could be the gateway to a bunch of Marvel characters being all thrown together. You could easily put the Hulk in there. You could have whoever he's going up against. Wolverine's certainly got plenty of people he can go against.
Yeah.
I feel like I cut you off on your list because you said open world and I agreed with you, and then because I changed my mind, I cut you off.
No, not at
Right,
all.
we got derailed.
In fact, the more I've thought about it, and I think I agree with Bill in the chat who says maybe this is closer to Last of Us 2. Like, good story, there's linearity there, but some exploration is in the areas that you're in. I think maybe I lean maybe towards something like that. Because,
like you would dig up like poo from the ground and smell it and be able to identify like if who took a shit, and you'd see a Witcher trail of the person, like if whether it's an animal that you're hunting or a person, you can see.
yeah.
Oh, you're joking, but that was literally in a Wolverine game that exists.
Yeah. I figured like he's a
That's really-
feral animal. He's got to do like the sanitized movie versions. And I know people like, come on, sorry, I'm not trying to offend people like the Hugh Jackman version. It's fine, but he's an animal. Like if they're doing the Wolverine right, he's a dirty animal that smells pee and poo on the ground and figures things out. Like that's.
Yeah.
He's Wolverine.
And he should. Like, it shouldn't, it's not necessarily a detective Batman style, but in some ways he is, and it's a little more dirty and on the ground. But
who murdered this guy?
Right.
Let me smell this poo.
I smell this poo.
No,
and
I'll
tell
try
you.
this poo.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely this guy.
I just think that if you look at video games, like superhero video games, and you look at Spider-Man, why is Spider-Man great as an open world game? Because web swinging is such a good mechanic. And that's why it was so important that they got that right. Also, Peter Parker breaking up crimes happening all over town it makes sense for Spider-Man. Like, that's part of Spider-Man. But you look at like the Arkham games, and I know this is going to be a bit of a controversial take, and the more open world the Arkham games got, the worse they got. Because traversing the world as Batman was not super fun. It wasn't super fun in the Batmobile. It wasn't super fun gliding around. It was fun, small scale, but it wasn't that interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it gets even less when you go to Wolverine. Like, yes, you could do some cool stuff that I think he should be able to do. I do think he should be able to like use his claws and run up the side of a building and leap off of it. I just don't think you need to go like, oh, we're in the middle of a gigantic, lovingly recreated Canada for you to explore all of. I think you can go from like segment to segment, have big open areas to play around in, but I don't think you need to necessarily go, we've recreated this many acres of environment for Wolverine to prowl around in.
Yeah.
I think you could just do it smaller scale.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more like Red Dead Redemption, maybe-ish, but maybe not as big, like.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption, there's probably other
like
examples.
less civilization. I'm just thinking like, Far Cry, like just like natural world areas where you can sink down with the animals, or I don't know, say hello to a snake while you're crawling through the snow. Like,
I mean, I know neither of you guys played it, but I think Last of Us 2 I think that's a great benchmark, because Last of Us 2, their arenas for combat and stuff like that were way bigger than I expected them to be. Like, they felt like little towns almost. And I actually think for a Wolverine game, it would be cool to have that option of, okay, are you the Berserker Wolverine that's just going to go in and take a bunch of damage and just claw through people? Or are you going to play it, because he's technically a ninja. Like, Wolverine's kind of done it all.
Yeah.
Or are you going to be stealthy and sneaky and, like, sneaking up behind a guy and popping your claws through him and then, dragging him into the bushes and stuff like that? Like, I can see the game going in multiple directions where you can play him in a bunch of different ways, because he's kind of been a bunch of different things. Which I also think this game needs to be rated M.
Yeah, I do too.
Just to be clear,
this has got to be violent, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, there's no Batman just knocking guys out or Spider-Man just webbing them up. Like,
Yeah.
he has claws. He's going to shred people into ribbons.
Yeah.
Like, if it's all like knockout stuff, it's gonna be like, oh, gross.
I 100% agree. I hate when they hold back on Wolverine in the movies or in the comics or any of it. They need to like go for it. That's why I love Logan so much, because Logan finally let those claws do what they're supposed to do. And I'm not like bloodthirsty, but I just want it to be, I don't know, I want it to feel like Wolverine. I want it to be visceral.
Wolverines are vicious. Like, that's why they call him. Isn't the cute nickname? He looks like a Wolverine. It's like, no, he's actually an animal.
But not only that,
murderer.
Not only that, you need, if you want to have the moral challenges of being the Wolverine, it's if you're too light with that stuff, those things are less meaningful. Like him struggling with his savagery and trying to find good and be the hero people want him to be, but also have these powers that make him such a nightmare. Like, if you want those moral dilemmas and conundrums to matter, you need to be violent. It needs to be hard. So I hope so. I don't know what
I'd
they're
also
going to do.
love to see that tech come back from the last time they did a Wolverine game, where his skin got shredded apart and you saw the adamantium skeleton underneath.
That was
so cool.
Yeah, that game was all right. It was okay.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. What game? Who made that? When was this? That was a 360 era thing.
I think it was 360. Yeah.
Let's see if I can find that real quick.
I can't remember what it was. I remember the only thing that was a little weird is his costume would heal itself eventually too. That was a little strange, but what you got on the other side of that was way worth it.
Oh, here it is. It's 360 and PS3. The game was called X-Men Origins Wolverine Part 1 and 2. Okay.
It was based on that terrible movie, but
yeah.
It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it was all right.
It wasn't great. It wasn't revolutionary, but
yeah, I'm trying to remember how they handled. Was it open worldy? I just don't remember how that came out.
No, it was a linear experience as well.
Just saw a video where he pulled.
My god!
Did you see that? He pulled the helicopter pilot out and tore his head off with the helicopter blades.
Why was the blood purple though?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was purple. It's so, and it was like they looked like little polygons. It looked like polygons were flying out of them. Wow.
Yeah, it's an old game, but still, like, this game knew how to get real violent, and I hope they remember that. But again,
and the coolest part is if Wolverine took damage, like chunks of him would come off, and you would just see metal underneath, and it looked badass.
Yeah, and he's also the one example of a game. If you're going to make a game with Wolverine in it, he's the one guy that should have healing. You know, he should do like Halo, where
the regen.
Yeah, the regen
actually is in
yeah, it's actually appropriate to the character and not like Call of Duty.
Predates video games as a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have a lot of high hopes for this. We'll see how that goes. All right. I mentioned Gran Turismo. It's a lot of car porn. Looked real nice, but I don't know. If you're into that stuff, there it was. The God of War gameplay looked good. Definitely more of what we want out of that. And the big reveal there was like, oh, look, it's Thor, who's a big, fat, cool dude with a giant beard.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and I really liked who's the tall one. He looked like Jesus in the video. Can't think of his name. Vin or Strin or Tyr. That's it. Yeah. It's nothing like Vin. I don't know why I heard Vin. Anyway,
Vin Diesel's in the
Vin
game
Diesel's
now.
in this, but he looked cool, although he looked like Jesus.
God of family.
Anyway, that looked real good. Very excited about that game in general. I love that first one. What else? Oh, and then I mentioned the Uncharted thing that's coming to PS5 and PC, and then the remakes and stuff. This is kind of a big deal. The Alan Wake remake definitely coming to everything. Not remake.
I'm tentatively excited about it, but I think that game, in order to be good, needs one big change.
What's that?
I think Alan Wake's biggest flaw was that they hid the pages of his book while you're playing that game.
Oh, interesting.
So what made Alan Wake cool for people who haven't played it or don't know is you're running around and you're being attacked by creatures in the darkness, and you have to shine a light on them to kind of make them manifest, and then you can shoot them, and that's sort of the mechanic.
Yeah.
But Alan Wake was an author, and so as he was going through this world and going through this like scary scenario, he would find pages of his own book, and the pages would foreshadow things that were about to happen. And it built a lot of really cool tension to read about, like he'd pick up a page and it would talk about how there was an ambush about to happen at the cabin that he was heading towards. And then you'd see that cabin and you'd go, oh my gosh, the page said there was going to be an ambush. Now I know there's creatures waiting for me in there. And now you're really anxious about it because the page told you so.
Yeah.
The problem is all these pages, which helped make the game way more tense and interesting and cool, were all hidden in really obscure places off the beaten path. And so often it felt like you were running around looking for thermoses, because for some reason he collected those, and pages and batteries and all these things you had to collect that it really kind of took you out of the situation you were in, especially in the case of the pages where it actually made the game scarier. Like, don't hide the thing that makes your game better. Put it right on the main path so you can read those as you go.
Yeah,
That's
I think I
my
agree.
personal
They
take
made
on
it seem like a side thing, but it really added to everything to the point that it should have been more mainline. I agree. That game's, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about Alan Wake, but I should mention this is like a remaster, not a remake. I keep saying remake, and that's not what this is. And it looked good, but this isn't, this was clearly not some next gen game by any stretch from what they showed. They also showed GTA 5, which also looked nice, but also looked like an old game that was being re-released for the 50th time.
They're going to keep making GTA 5 till the end of time.
Yeah.
It's Skyrim as well.
They can't count past 5 over there, I guess. I would love to see a 6 or something new out of them, but whatever. 5 prints money, so keep printing that money. Now, it's the one I wanted to save for the end and talk about the most. The Knights of the Old Republic remake. And that word's very important. This isn't an up-res. This is a remake of that game.
I assume they know what that word means with the history of Final Fantasy VII setting the bar pretty damn high as a remake, as a labeled remake.
Yes.
Just putting that out there now. They remade the shit out of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Compared to what it was originally. So, yeah.
They need to nail that, right? Or you're going to piss everybody off because people are really excited about this. Like
people are really, really excited about it.
Yeah.
So am I. I mean, Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favorite video games ever made. I really adore that game. And, I was crazy excited. I think Darth Revan is amazing. He's got a super cool name, looks badass. Looks like a cross between a Sith warrior and a Mandalorian. Just a cool character design. The story for Darth Revan is incredible. Like, that game has one of the coolest video game twists that I've experienced in a video game for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I really love Knights of the Old Republic, and I really hope they do right by it. It's definitely a game that needs updating. Like, if you go back and you try to play it again, that game has not aged well. So I think a remake is a perfect idea for it, because I think the content that is in there is really, really solid. And we've seen it influence plenty of other pieces of media. There were even references to Knights of the Old Republic in the last season of The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
So it has had a far reach. There are rumors that they're going to update it a little bit to actually put it in canon, and that this will actually now be considered a canon Disney Star Wars era story, which would be cool because a lot of this stuff has been thrown out as sort of legacy business. I'm excited. I want to see more. Like, the problem is that trailer was extremely good and made me go, yeah. But I need to see more. I want to know what they're doing with it. How's it going to look? How's it going to play?
Mm-hmm.
What are they changing? How much of a remake is this?
Yeah, this is an important game because not just from the aspect of the game itself was amazing, but, all the Mass Effect guys came out of this. This is where they came from. And, Mass Effect in a lot of ways is a spiritual successor to what made KOTOR great. I really hope they nail it. It's coming to PC day one, timed release on consoles where they get an exclusive for a while on PlayStation. It'll be everywhere else after that. And, yeah, we don't know much else. It's just a rendered intro. They didn't show any gameplay, nothing, nothing from the game. But, yeah, very excited about this.
Well, yeah, as someone who's constantly considered whether or not I should play KOTOR because it's very highly regarded BioWare game, I'm kind of glad I don't have to go play the old janky thing.
Yeah,
I want this to be good just so I can play it for the first time and enjoy the new experience.
Yeah, I agree. Having played the first one a couple of times, twice, once on a PC and once, I don't remember where I played it again, console somewhere. It's just it's an amazing game, and it needs to be played again. So I'm ready. I'm ready for this. All right, that's mostly what they showed. There were a bunch of other third-party stuff. Again, stuff that looks cool and seems good and all that. But a lot of it was stuff we'd already seen. The Ghosts of, or what's the Tokyo Ghost one they've been talking about forever?
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah, that looks pretty weird. I'm continue to be very curious about that game. I kind of want to know what's up.
It looks intriguing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it, but it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't quite know what to do yet, but it looks good. John, the big news of the week really though is this. Resident Evil's Leon S. Kennedy now in Rainbow Six Siege. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, the game has a problem with too many humans in it. And now they've put in another human, but at least, you've put in the pinnacle of humans with Leon S. Kennedy. What we all aspire to in this life is to be a little more like Leon S. Kennedy, and now
What
now we
non-humans
can.
do you
Thank
want
goodness.
in Rainbow Six Siege?
Yeah.
What non-humans do you want?
Well, okay, here's the truth, because actually I've said this for a really long time, and now the Tom Clancy games are actually supposedly giving me what I wanted, which is they're actually introducing like monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the name of that game is.
Oh, it's Rainbow Six not Annihilation. Annihilation? They used to be called Pandemic, and they pulled that name when the actual pandemic happened.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So
Rainbow Six COVID-19.
Yeah.
we just picked letters. We didn't know.
I mean, think about it. Back in 2018, 2019, when none of this was a thing, you wouldn't even think twice. Like, oh yeah, Pandemic's good. Use that name. And now it'd be like
There's
it's
a
like
board game franchise called Pandemic.
it's like touching.
Although
a
I gotta
poop.
say, I'm looking at this Leon.
Yeah, it doesn't look like him at all.
No, it's not good. It's not Leon. It's
Yeah, was that Leon?
Yeah,
that,
it was
like,
supposed to be.
I think it was
That
supposed to
really
be a guy
non-Leon
just
looking?
dressed as him.
Well,
but
keep in mind, this is
$29.99. You can have his plain gray T-shirt and some camouflage pants.
Yeah, keep in
Yeah.
mind this is
Awesome.
not him as a playable character. Like here's Leon talking and being
It's just his
Leon.
clothes.
It's a skin. So it's not a very good skin if I'm honest. Also,
No.
that game's a little long in the teeth. It's been out since 2013.
Yeah,
so.
it's not even. It's Resident Evil 4. He took off his leather jacket, and this is what was underneath it. Clothes. Like it's like actual Leon is wearing a nonsensical. It doesn't even make sense. Police uniform.
Yeah.
Like that's Leon.
Yeah.
We are scraping the bottom of the barrel on skin stuff because I saw as part of this, World of Warships is having a Transformers crossover event.
Yep.
And it is just about this. First of all, they didn't put a lot of effort into the ad. Holy crap. Someone just learned how to use Adobe After Effects on that thing.
Yeah.
But also, they look bad. It's like these boats, but then like Hot Rod or Soundwaves hanging out, going them like my warship. But it wasn't done with high quality. Like I think I dig it, but like no.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants this. Like I don't know. It just looked really weird. These Transformer themed warships that has like the general is Megatron. I don't think Megatron or Optimus were shown yet, but they have Grimlock, Hot Rod, Starscream, and Soundwave.
Yeah.
And like I'm a big Transformer enthusiast, but I'm not playing your World of Warships game just to get a Soundwave boat. Like it's not happening. Like
Oh, I see him. Yeah, look at him up there. He's like,
cheeseball.
and
I'm
they
a
like
Transformer
transform.
on
I
here.
think like.
Here's the thing,
Like,
though.
I don't hate it, but
Hey.
I'm like, oh man,
Those
like, come
guys,
on.
they're right now. There's a meltdown happening at wargaming.net, which is the company that makes this and World of Tanks and all that. I guess
No,
there's like
the-
huge revolt going on with their community. I don't know what it is. It's not over this, but it's something
So
to
it's
do.
probably. I thought I saw something. I don't know what it is. If I had to guess, it's about
Some toxic
know,
bullshit again, probably.
some sexual
Yeah.
assaulters at this company too,
Yeah.
or something
when
like that.
when they figure it out and they make a Leon S. Kennedy warship for me to pilot, then
Oh
then
yeah,
we'll
now
have
we're
something.
talking.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Hell yeah.
Just him going through the water.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, they probably could do it. It's just I don't.
Look at him driving that ship. That's stupid. That's stupid. I
Yep,
hate
it looks really goofy. It looks really dumb. This is all we live in a weird world.
I mean,
Put everything in everything, I guess.
yeah, I don't like this world at I mean, Fortnite's not the first to do it by any means, but this whole, like, what do they call their world? A metaverse? Like, just like we'll put John Wick and Ariana Grande in our game. Like, there's like a such thing as like going for like some aesthetics here, some continuity of like I get it, you can do it, but like have respect for your property. I don't know, like it's just
Well, if you believe what
I
you
like to feel immersed in what I'm doing. You know,
No.
if the crossover makes sense, fine. That's why I'm like the Marvel stuff's fine because that's ridiculous to begin with. But like,
yeah.
not everything is Marvel. Like, I don't mind it in the comic stuff so much, but like World of Warships, I'm playing a warship simulator. Oh, there's an Optimus there's an Optimus Prime boat going by. Like, ugh. like I don't want to play this game ever. If I ever even was curious, I don't know. It still looks cool, but I don't know. I hate it. There's a part of me that just hates
their
this.
games are play to win as hell too. I don't like that about their games, but
Oh, really?
yeah, I felt that with. I played Tanks for a bit, and it's cool. Tanks is cool.
Well, they're literally showing the shop in their little trailer and showing purchases. Like, if part of your hype reel is here, watch us spend real money on it. Like,
that's what I mean. They put so little effort into, like, I don't know. Like I didn't. This is actually better than what I saw. What the video I saw had less than what you're even showing the stream today.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but.
Some of those comics, by the way, IDW does the Transformers comics now. They're pretty good. There's some good.
Oh, the IDW
books.
Stuff's really well drawn. Yeah,
I really like it.
I like them.
All right.
Anyways,
so
it just wasn't the best. That's all.
Yeah, we'll see how that all pans out. But John, congratulations. Leon S. Kennedy is now officially in everything.
We need more of them. That's
more would be good.
Just the truth.
Let's move on now to a review given to us in Dear Martha style from Steam. Yes, that's right. Dear Martha Steam reviews. Read to us by John, as if he was an old-timey 1800s guy trying to reach his wife at home and let her know how it's going at the front. This time for a game I quite like, My Time at Portia, or Portia, however the hell you say it. That's how much I liked it. I don't really know how to say the name of the game. It's actually a pretty good game. But anyway, here that is now. Enjoy.
My dearest Martha, I present to you now a review for the game My Time at Portia. Portia. Martha, if you liked Stardew Valley, the old-fashioned Harvest Moon series, or the new Story of Seasons series, this game is for you. Featuring building, lots of marriage candidates, hate, farming, lots of marriage candidates, drama, a pig pet, a cat, and a dog. Did I already said lots of marriage candidates? Dungeons, mining, cute graphics, an awful amount of awesome and weird people who are single and you can marry. A pink fat cat who can become your pet. Wait, isn't it fishy that so many people is single? Lots of places to discover. Is it because they don't have Tinder? Anyway, great game. Lots of surprises. I would love to see it growing up steadily and have new updates. I would throw my money to the screen for a DLC with more relationship interactions, more places, maybe another city of that big lore. I would love to see Seaside or Walnut Grove with Dr. Zhu on my side. More quests related to friends and romance. More events. And maybe watch the kids grow. Yours in this life and the next, Shushu.
I like his use of like multiples versus singulars and things like that, and you just read it the way you read it. I mean, it's the way it was.
Yeah,
I think I like the part about this where it's like the guy's writing to his wife Martha back home, and he's like, "There's all these marriage candidates." Like, it's just making me laugh. You'll never guess, Martha. All these single people are here. Yeah. You get to meet them.
The game's okay. It's a little janky for what it is. It's kind of like a 3D like Stardew Valley. It's just, I don't know. It's a little chip chop in some places, but it has its moments. It's pretty cool. All right, moving on. Although they famously got mad at me on Twitter once because they did some post and I replied saying, "Hey, do you guys do review codes?" And they were so mad I would ask that question. And the funny thing is, I ended up getting a review code anyway through another site that gets review codes from developers
So
and then gives them
the
to
answer
people.
is yes. And why were we getting upset about it?
Yeah, it was weird. I think they weren't used to that. They didn't know what that was yet or something. It was a very odd interaction, 2018 or so. Anyway, there's that. Now this. The games we played this week. I kept things really simple. Other than my usual checking out, I'm still pursuing some story stuff in Guild Wars 2. Played more Battle Sector. Played a bunch of that new No Man's Sky business. Shipbreaker had a reset and 3D hab patch, which meant the thing you live in and make all your upgrades in and stuff is now this 3D space you can kind of move around in and make your choices in there. That's kind of interesting. Other than that, it's still Shipbreaker, and yes, they reset my progress, which kind of sucks, but it's early access. What do you expect? The game's still amazing. Anyway, instead, I played a whole bunch of Spiritfarer, and you might say,
I love that game.
That game's great, and it's still on Game Pass, but I'm not playing it there. Someone sent me a gift code on Steam, and I went, "Ow, I haven't cracked that open in a while. I'll just start over because I don't remember where the hell I even was." So let's play Spiritfarer again. And I got so into this, and it is such a delightfully relaxing, cozy sort of game, and so well crafted. Like, whatever the thing is, like whatever Hades is, it's like Hades but a different vibe. In other words, like the attention to detail and art and tone and all that stuff that makes part of what makes Hades so great. This team is also all about some of those things. It's a very different video game, but it feels like that kind of crafted AAA sensibilities laid onto an indie developer kind of. It's so good. Anyway, Spiritfarer is amazing. I don't want to get too deep into what it's all about because we've talked about it before, but I'm really loving my new playthrough, and I'm having a great time, and I will keep playing. It's also a perfect game if you're on the phone with somebody having a meeting and you need to do something. It's great for that because you fish off the back of that boat. Running around's no big deal. Traveling is kind of a quiet affair, but it's just kind of,
you can just ring the bell on the boat. Like it's little details like that. There's just something about like, oh, we're coming into port, and you can just get down there and ring the bell, and it just makes the little ship ding, and it just feels nice.
It does.
Like, everything about that game just feels nice.
Animation's really sweet, and the stories are really cool and interesting. It deals with this really interesting sort of death story across the board. It's just a nifty, cool, rad thing, and I love it. So playing that again. And what else? Oh, For the Warp. For the Warp. Have you heard of this? Probably not.
No.
For the Warp. I think I may have brought it up before on the show, but basically,
For the Warp.
Let's take a sprinkle of FTL. Let's put a little Slay the Spire in there. Actually, a lot of Slay the Spire. The combat is literally card combat like Slay the Spire. There's overworld and random stuff like FTL, and then make it look all 16-bitty. That's the game. You're in space. You got a retro looking thing with a retro soundtrack, and you're fighting other ships with your cards. And it's stuff like do 6 damage, give yourself 5 shields, heal yourself. You know, it's Slay the Spire in that regard. But I really like this game. It's in early access. I've had it for a while. These guys sent me a code sometime back, and I find it, of all the card battlers I've played lately, the one that just kind of chills me out the most, because the stakes are pretty low. It's just sort of, the mechanics are strong, and you just feel good going through it. And even when you die, you're like, all right, that was pretty good. Let's go next time. Let's apply this little thing, and try it better next time or whatever. And I unlocked a new ship, and that new ship was really cool, and I really enjoyed that. And I have a really good time with it. So I don't like their name. For the Warp annoys me because I feel like they only did that so they could say FTW at the end, which just is for the win, which I hate that phrase.
I don't want that in there either.
Yeah.
I don't want either version. I don't want them to say For the Win. I don't want them to say For the Warp.
Yeah, it's an annoying name.
But I like the look of this game a lot.
It's a For the Lose title.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's all. This is
the
really
title
bad.
sucks.
It doesn't reflect well on, like, maybe the gameplay is good, but like I'm like, oh
yeah, the title's bad.
What are you naming your cards?
I agree. The title is bad. The story is fun. It's very sci-fi and lots of random stuff going on, encounters where you got to make hard choices, and well, I get some free fuel so I can keep moving. That's the other thing, is the overworld, if you want to move around, you got to spend fuel every time you move. And as you uncover the fog of war, you'll find that, oh, there's a ship there. Shit, I got to fight it. Okay, well, I could try to go around it, but do I have enough fuel to go around it? You know, like there's some strategic stuff like that. Sometimes you just find like there's a space crate. You just found a bunch of stuff. You can sell that when you get back to a space station. You're trying to get to each warp gate. So it's almost like a more active FTL, because it's not like just one big map where you're like, all right, go to the next node, and now here's a fight. Now go to the next node. It's more like incremental node jumping, and then you have the fights. And I really like the fights, and I just find it cathartic and chill. And I've been looking for chill lately, and these are the two chills I got, with Spiritfarer and For the Warp. And I like the game a lot. They both reviewed pretty well too. Well, Spiritfarer is off the charts. Everybody loves that game, but
I mean, I like the take, spaceships shooting card battler. It's a neat approach.
Yeah, that name's just eating your cheese.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know, it's really bad.
It's really bad.
They have a chance to change it if they wanted, I guess, because this is early access, and I don't know why you couldn't. But it's an awful name. All right, John, you finished Final Fantasy II Remaster and started Final Fantasy III Remaster. And then tell me all about Final Fantasy, because that's all this is. That's all you've done.
Yeah, my list is 4 different Final Fantasy games. So let's get into it.
All right.
Real quick, I beat Final Fantasy II Remaster.
Yeah.
And honestly, coming out of it, I don't really have much to say that isn't something I said the previous weeks. That game really tries some new things. A lot of things that modern RPGs do. It does them almost all terribly. And while I appreciate swinging for the fences, the net result is a Final Fantasy game that is not very good. I had fun with it. I don't regret playing it, but that game was punishing in a real rough way. I actually put a clip up and I shared it with you guys, my several second review of the game, which was basically me going into a fight, getting the ambushed effect, which means the enemies get to attack before you do, and only getting one round to do something with half my characters because I got instantly killed by everything. And the game is full of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it was that's kind of what that game is. And so it was either like getting instant killed or walking over the top of everything because it was too easy. So it's an interesting game. I think if you like the series and you're interested in how it's evolved, I think it's worth playing. But just know that it's a punishing game and it's a very different game, and it can be pretty rough.
Yeah, are you a little surprised that the series didn't collapse in on itself after this one, like a big misstep for a second outing, or you know?
Well, in a way, it did, because 2 never came out here.
Oh, that's right.
It didn't come out until PlayStation era. It was another one of those games that was notorious for too difficult for Americans, like Super Mario Brothers 2, and so they didn't. So Final Fantasy 2, as we know it, is actually Final Fantasy 4, and Final Fantasy 3, as we know it, is Final Fantasy 6. So it has not come out, and didn't come out for quite some time. Final Fantasy 3, which is the other game I played, is actually even harder to find because that game didn't get ported until it got a 3D remake on the Nintendo 3DS.
Oh wow!
Or, the Nintendo DS.
Oh,
so
I remember that. Yeah.
That was technically the first time that game has ever come out. Here in the US officially. You could play it other ways. And Final Fantasy 3, I am happy to say, is fantastic. I love that version of the game. It goes back to the job system. It kind of loses a step as far as story goes. The story is pretty simplistic. It's like, hey, you're 4 people, you're chosen, go do adventure. But it makes up for it with, it's just got great music. The job system's really fantastic. There's really amazing content in that game. They do fights where they just want you to play different jobs. So there was a fight where we all were dragoons, and that was the class we picked. We all did the jump attack. So the entire fight was we all jumped off the screen. The enemy did an attack. It missed because we were all off the screen. And then we all dropped on the boss and we killed the boss instantly. That stuff is great. I just think it's a really, really good Final Fantasy, and I'm having a ton of fun. I'm nearing the end of it. I'm kind of doing the last chunk
fast.
of optional content.
I feel like you just finished 2 and you're already almost done with 3. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out here's my advice I'm going to tell people, because when I said I was going to go and I was going to play through all the Final Fantasies, I kept hearing the same thing. Boy, you're committing to that's a lot. That's a lot you're committing to. Boy, you're going to have stuff to play for the next couple years. You will be amazed at how quickly you can get through things if you just do it.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't taken an insane amount of time. I've dedicated my streams to just that. And you know, before I knew it, I was through. Final Fantasy 2 felt really long because I was not having as much fun. Final Fantasy 3, I can't believe I'm almost done with it. So I'm having a really, really good time with it. In fact, I'm having such a good time with it. We'll go on to my next game. I found out that on Steam, I own the Final Fantasy 3 3D remake. That's the Nintendo DS version.
Oh, right.
On Steam. I had no idea that this even came out or that I bought it, but apparently I did, and I have it. And I'm not going to be streaming it.
Oh.
So I might show it as just sort of like a bonus, like, hey, this is what it is. But I'm not going to be streaming this one. So ultimately, I have it to play on my own. And I'm enjoying Final Fantasy 3 so much that I'm playing through the 3D remake on my own independently when I'm not streaming.
That's great.
It's a really good game. I'm sad it never came out here. And I will say this to people that are like kind of looking at these remasters. If you have played 1 and 2, pick up 3. Like, if you're a fan of the series, pick up 3. I genuinely think it's good enough to play as a curiosity. Like, it's really solid, and I'm having a really good time with it. The 3D remake is pretty cheap as well on Steam right now, I believe. It's better in some ways, it's worse in others. So I think between the two versions, I would actually still recommend the remaster. But yeah, I've just been having a ton of fun with it. And of course, I'm still playing 14 whenever I have a free moment. And I'm very excited because next week, a new event starts in that game that lets you get the car from Final Fantasy 15, which is one of the coolest mounts in the game. So
it's also one of the most shocking things you'll see in that game because especially if you're new.
This fantasy game has cars.
Yeah, it's got a big old ass car in it, and it's freaky at first. You're like, "What the hell is that?" And you're like, "Oh, it's the car from 15 that's in here." Like, I remember that being a real revelation at the time. I couldn't believe what I was seeing when I saw that thing drive up to the whatever. What do they call the things that teleport you around town? Whatever those are called.
The Aetherites.
The Aetherites, yeah. It's this thing just went and then like parked there, and I'm like, where am I? What is this game? It was insane.
It was acting up yesterday.
Well, I mean, like in the case of like Blizzard and or not Blizzard, World of Warcraft and games like that, they usually go for, oh, there's a motorcycle in here, but it looks like it was made by orcs and elves and whatever. Like it looks like a medieval kind of a goofball. It sort of matches the motif, but also is this crazy thing. And that's not true of that car in Final Fantasy. It looks like a sleek black freaking convertible from a different video game. It's really weird.
Yeah. I mean, they do always have the excuse. I don't know what the official lore of the car in 14 is, but they do always have the excuse is there is the nation to the north that doesn't have any magic, so they're all technological, so they have like guns and mechs and stuff like that, and they can always say like, yeah, it comes from there. But
World War II tanks.
It doesn't change the fact that it is a nice looking automobile that not only is a nice looking car, but when it takes off, it transforms into a jet.
What?
It actually does the transformation animation. You should look it up. Do Final Fantasy 14 car fly
And it
mode.
won't even do that.
It transforms. It looks cool as hell.
It won't do that in 15 even. So think of that, like
I think it does.
Oh, does
I
it?
think in 15 you can eventually get the car to fly.
Are
I don't
you-
know. I'm not to that one yet, but yes, I think the car.
Okay, well that actually I was going to ask you this question. Are you planning on getting all the way to current with these streams and stuff? That's your deal. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Scott, this is how crazy it's going to get. I might add additional games.
Okay.
I'm debating. So I've had people tell me like, oh, but you got to play 10-2. And I'm not particularly interested in playing Final Fantasy X-2 because I don't particularly like Final Fantasy X. So doing more of it, even if it's different and weird, doesn't necessarily sound great to me. But I've had people requesting games. And I do know, so the 4 remaster came out, but I don't know when 5 and 6 are coming out. So I might have a period of time in here where I'm either would have to skip ahead or do something different. So I might throw Chrono Trigger on there. And I might throw some other RPGs, maybe ones I haven't played on the pile and go through those. And so people are putting in requests and I'm seeing them and I'm considering doing them. So
I'm in.
who knows? Maybe in a couple months and a year, I will have played almost every 8 and 16-bit RPG you possibly could.
I think that's great. And you'll play, like, if you play 7 again, what's your plan there? Like, how are you going to do that? You're going to play the old
I've
school?
never beaten Final Fantasy VII. In fact, I don't think I've ever gotten to what would be the second disc of the original Final Fantasy VII.
Seven's
Okay.
a long one.
Yeah.
I've played Remake and I've beaten Remake, at least what's out of it. So 7 is going to be a fairly new experience for me.
All right.
And
well,
I'm excited for it because 7 Remake was so good, it turned me around. I used to be one of those people that was like, I don't know what all the hype's about. But 7 Remake got me so interested that I'm like, okay, yeah, let's see what
It's fun.
7
You're
has
gonna
to
play an
offer.
entire game's worth of content and then realize that, oh, you just left Midgard and there's a whole bunch of other shit to do in the game.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big one.
yeah. Is that the biggest?
I remember thinking that. I was like, when they go to the overworld map in Final Fantasy VII, I was like, oh yeah, there's overworld maps in Final Fantasy VII. I've just been playing this game so long in Midgard that I was like, it felt like the whole game to me. I was like, oh, there's a world map. Like it's so long into the game before you get to the world map. It's like 20 hours or something like that. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it the longest of all the things, or is there what's the longest Final Fantasy game? Do we know?
I don't know, but it's I guess
don't know.
like your mileage varies depending on how much grinding you're doing. Like the original Final Fantasies did not have the auto battle that John had, so
Yeah,
some of them
the
could be
auto
longer.
battle helps a lot. If I didn't have the auto battle feature, like once we get out of the era of auto battler, the play times on these games are going to go up immensely. Because right now I'm averaging about 2 hours a stream, give or take, in either direction. And it took 6 episodes to get through Final Fantasy 1. It took 8 episodes to get through 2. It's looking like it's going to be 6 or 7 for 3. That's not a ton of time. But a lot of that is how quickly you can get through the random battles with the auto battler. Because it not only fights for you, well, it does whatever you did last for you.
Right.
But it also speeds up the combat.
Oh,
So
interesting.
you see the animation almost like you're fast forwarding.
Okay.
And it will slow down
Final
considerably
Fantasy
after that.
VI, aka Final Fantasy 3, is a pretty long one. I mean, even with the auto battle will probably make it quick, but I remember it taking a long time to complete because I don't know if you've played it. Maybe I shouldn't spoil it, but have you played 3? US 3?
No, I actually
Okay,
have.
then never mind.
I have not.
At the time, there's a moment where you're like, "Oh shit, this game is way longer than I thought it was gonna be." Like, and without saying much more than that, it's a pretty girthy Final Fantasy.
So right now, I just pulled up a list. It is ranking every Final Fantasy based on how long it takes to complete. I don't know why they included these. Current number 1 is Final Fantasy 14. They said 122 hours. I don't know.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count. It's not even done yet. The next one obviously would be Final Fantasy 11, the other MMO.
Yeah, those don't count.
Don't count. Bad list.
According to this, the Zodiac Age one, what is that? 10, 11, 12. That one's 60 hours.
So, yes. So the next one on there is the first one that would count that I plan to play is 12, which is 60.
Yeah.
Then 13, which is 49.
Mm-hmm.
10, which is 48. 8, which is 42.
No sense.
9, which is 40.
Yeah.
They say 7 is 38 and a half.
Yeah, almost 40.
6 is 35 and a half. 7 remake is 34.
Yeah, that makes that like 7th on the list if you don't count the MMOs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that'd be longer.
So
this list is sus, man.
yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I spend a lot of time like playing, like way more than 30 hours playing Final Fantasy VII. Like, your mileage varies depending on how much fighting, like what you do in the game. You know what I mean? It's like, is that just if you like speed run like a crazy person from A to B and not smell the flowers while you're playing? Like, because 13 isn't that long. 13 is like short.
According to this, it's a beast. Is 13 the one that's on Game Pass as of
maybe it's longer than I remember, but it's all battles. Like, I mean, story-wise, it's like 10. Like, it's a linear experience and you go through it. But like 7 is like open world. Like, you go around and you can do stuff. You have to figure where to go next. And
this was
12 being number 1 on the list does make sense, because that was when they were like, what if we made an MMO that wasn't an MMO?
Yeah,
so
I can see
that
that.
being number 1
so
makes
I don't know.
a lot of sense to me, but
the 13 one, I was like, what? Like, really? Like, I don't know.
So
I mean, I can tell you my playtime on, and this is just off Steam because I haven't booted it. I had 13.7 hours played on Final Fantasy 1. I have 21.2 hours played on Final Fantasy 2. And so far I have 11 and a half hours on Final Fantasy 3.
That's with auto battling, though. I'm telling you, like, if you're manually battling, those games take way longer.
Oh, yeah. I imagine they do. I would assume they do. I haven't played them, but... So, similarly, is the Zodiac Age one, is that the one that came to Game Pass? Is that the one everyone's freaking out and so happy it's there or whatever? Do you guys know?
I don't know. One just went away though. They had a bunch of Final Fantasies and a bunch just went away and
interesting.
showed up in other places, and
because whatever the one they hit, something just hit Game Pass, and all these Final Fantasy people in my following are all freaking out and so excited about it. And I don't remember if it was that or if it was 13, but something hit and people are.
I think 13 hit. It was 13 that just
was it 13 that hit? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it in new. Yeah.
13. Okay. So
13's all right. Like, I mean, it was reviled because of the linear play experience, and it literally is like that until one zone at the end where it's kind of this open world one zone where you can play as long as you want and fight harder and harder monsters.
I think I prefer
if you do,
the linear.
It trivializes the end boss like crazy, but hey, and then I think after you finish the game, you can go back to the open world zone and just do the challenge fights all over the map. It's a good entry, and in fact, I bought 13.2 and never really got around to playing it, but I did want to play 13.2 and 13.3 just because it's all Lightning story, right? Because they don't really get too deep into Lightning story that much in that game, and at the time, that was, I don't know if it was an Xbox exclusive, but it was a console exclusive for sure. It was a pretty big deal. It was like a next-gen Final Fantasy entry for that generation of Xbox 360.
Right.
So that made it a really big deal. That was a day one purchase for me when I got it. And at the time, it was like, oh my god, look how beautiful Final Fantasy games have really become.
Yeah.
And I mean, story-wise, it's what I've come to expect from the Final Fantasy series, where it's like, they're certainly serious and dramatic, but it's all bullshit, it's like very cool, greatly animated, but like it's just like they don't try that last 10% of effort to really pull the thing together. They're like, we don't need to do that. And it's like, it's a big enough gulf where you're like, this could have been great, They just, I don't know.
There's some really cool story concepts in that, because if I remember correctly, wasn't 13 the one where there was a story conceit of you could be like chosen by a deity and given an assignment, essentially? Like God would basically call on you and say, "This is what I want you to do," and if you didn't do it, you turned to stone.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's ringing a
I feel
bell.
like that
Yeah.
was like a story element in it, and I remember hearing that and being like, "That's such a cool idea." It didn't exactly play that way in the game. Like it seemed to be operating almost behind the scenes. I just
Yeah,
remember
it's
I
not.
put tons of hours into that game, and they were still giving me tutorial messages, and that was bumming me out a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a guy with an afro with a chocobo baby in it. Is that normal?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what we want?
Yeah.
Okay.
It says he's
All right.
great.
All right.
That game's great. I stand by that game. I don't know. People, like, I don't like the linearity of it. I mean, they probably had to do it to the constraints of, like, just the crazy graphics they had in it or whatever. I'm imagining. I don't know if Final Fantasy 15 was more open, but like story wise, it was like just all the cutscenes and all the voice acting. It was of its time. Even Vulverine-nie, I know, is super annoying, but it's still just really incredible visually. It still looks great, honestly. I'm watching it, and it's like we
It
can
does
do
look
more with
nice.
facial expression stuff, but it's still really great.
I'm gonna check it out. It's on Game Pass, so I'm gonna download it. Why not?
Yeah,
This
I mean,
one
it's
always
weird as
interested
shit
me.
story, and you get into this cool plot, then it gets sidetracked into dumb sideline stories involving, the chocobo and the guy's hair and stuff. Or actually, he has a really sad story. It gets really emotional for a while, but it's like it's good. It's
But is
definitely-
this okay? Can I ask? This is maybe a naive question. Is this space-looking sci-fi stuff? Is this supposed to be like? Is this Eorzea? This time later?
No. So it's a fresh world,
Okay.
and there's a planet, and then there's another planet in the sky, and then one planet tells the other planet what to do, kind of, or maybe the moon in the sky. Now, what you're showing here looks very sci-fi. Most of the game is outdoors in like the forest and natural environments.
Okay.
But there's a spaceship, I think, or some airship at one point. I mean, there are some badass looking things in here. But the cutscenes definitely look better than the game itself, I will
Okay.
say.
Okay.
And one of the complaints as well is that it's poorly optimized, so even on good machines, it may still dip down to below 30 frames per second in some areas. I don't know if that's still true on the new
I
consoles.
hope not.
But
Better not be now. But
at the time, that was the case. I remember because I had it for PC, and I was like, I'm still getting slowdowns on like a 5-year-old game. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Didn't make any sense. But it's good. But if you're gonna play this, why not just play Final Fantasy VII Remake?
well, I mean, it could, except I just don't want to
You
dust off
should
it.
Way
play
better.
7 Remake.
I'm
It's
gonna.
good.
When's it hitting PC like they promised? These bastards.
Well, I don't know. This is why
Oh,
we
did they
told you
miss
not
their
to wait.
promise?
No,
They
well,
missed their
they
promise,
said
didn't
PC, but I don't know when they said it'd be out. I don't remember that.
They said 1 year. They said 1 year in the market. I remember because I contemplated, can I wait? And then Tanner Goodman, our lovely listener, sent me the PlayStation 4 and took the debate away from me, which is great. Remake PC.
Let's see if there's some news on it.
Launch.
Because I don't see.
I would think you'd even
Yeah.
like if it was anytime soon, I'd think there would be news about it. I don't think they're just gonna go like it's on PC now. Bye.
So PC release. No, it was. I swear it said 1 year exclusive. I remember it distinctly because I was like, "Can I wait a year for this game to come out?"
I didn't even think at the time it was even an exclusive. It was just
It was
you're
in
going to
an
have to
image,
wait a
man.
year.
This is like, oh, they get away with this shit, man. It makes me so mad.
I know. I hate it.
Yeah, because it was released. I'm reading here, April 1st, 2020. So we're past April 1st, 2021. Like
We
it's been more
certainly
than
are.
a year.
Yeah, it's definitely been a year. I'm ready.
Nice.
Bring it. Bring it on.
According to a leak, Final Fantasy VII Remake headed to Epic Game Store. Oh, good. Exclusives on
But
exclusives.
you can play this one if you want, Scott. This one's fine.
I might hop
I
in
think
there.
7 Remake's really good. I can't tell you much about this one because it's been so long since I played it. I think I played it back when it came out on I think it was the PS3, and I will get to it eventually.
I
But
just
do
only
try this
have-
one. It's free, too.
I like
I only
the
have
look of
9
it.
more games to go, Scott. So it's gonna be a little bit, but I'll get there.
The look of this is pretty rad. Even
I mean, it's fun. It's
yeah.
the menu-based system. It's not like Remake, but it's actiony. It's pick attack,
yeah,
magic,
it's
or
your
whatever.
your normal Final Fantasy.
And I would say the
business.
cast of characters is pretty cool in this one. I think there's a cool badass chick later on in the game, like this older chick who's really cool. Like, don't let Dude Bro turn you off of the game.
Yeah.
He's the most.
Don't worry about Dude Bro.
Is
You're gonna have to
Durag-
worry about the most annoying character
Like-
that ever existed in the history. You don't like
Vinny's
anime
alright.
characters? Wait till you meet
Oh,
this
no.
one, Scott.
No.
I
Vinny
want
is
you to
alright.
play it. No, she isn't. She's awful.
I mean, she's way better than Durag Trenchcoat guy.
fall-
Durag Trenchcoat Beach Boy guy. Like,
She-
he's got like in his fist. He's like. Actually, Scott might like him. All right, you're gonna hate.
Because I
him.
just started doing that.
Yeah.
John's all right.
Look, I know which one's gonna bug him. It's her.
It's Hope.
She's-
Hope is the
she's the-
character.
Is that her name?
I don't know.
Is her
Chat
real
was
name
saying
Hope or
don't
something?
diss
No,
on
it's
Hope.
Vanille.
Oh.
Vanille. We're talking about Vanille. It's
I think I
the
kept
French
calling
word
her
for
Vanilla. Yeah, I think
Vanilla?
that's what I
Well,
called
it's
her.
because Vanille is French for vanilla. So if you translate to English, her name is Vanilla, but it's Vanille.
Well,
Because
she's
there's a lot of
awful.
French words like
She
le ci.
contributes nothing except annoyance and blundering. She's like Jar Jar Binks if he
Yeah,
became an
she's-
anime girl.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically.
geez.
But-
You really. That's
Yeah,
a,
there we go.
holy Moses. John really made a. I don't know how you come back from that one. That was a
Or
harsh
is
one.
it Vanille or I have it wrong? I thought it was Vanille.
I
don't
thought
know.
that was it.
I'm trying to find a video here of showing.
Of good
I need
old
to show
Vinny.
Scott this.
I can't
Well,
wait.
I played this last time, the O moments, but you really need to hear her like voice lines.
Vinny.
Yeah,
Maybe.
find a part where something important's going on and she falls down and you have to run back and help her in some way.
The
Just
internet might
really
have selective
capture the
memory on
essence
Vinny.
of the character.
You're really selling me on this lady. Is she the one in all the video I was just looking at? Jumping around with the sword?
Alright,
No,
hang on
she's
here, I'm
not
sending
lightning.
you-
She's not the main
Oh,
character.
okay.
I
She's
didn't really watch this ahead of time, but she's a featured character in here. She's the pink-haired character. Let
Okay.
me try that.
All right.
Bang and Vanilla the reunion.
Let's see here. Oh. I'm going to hate
Like
this,
50
aren't I?
second clips, so.
All right, I'm gonna put it in. Let's hear it too. Let's see what we get. Oh wait, that's weird. I want the link, not the.
Yeah, there's a lot of inappropriate moaning over nothing in this right now.
Okay, here we go. I like a lot of Japanese moaning. All right, here we go. Let's check it out. It's loading. It's loading. I don't know why it's. Oh, here we go.
Man. This video requires some context.
Oh. Okay. Ooh, she's holding her boob.
Audio listeners, you're welcome.
Are there no voice lines in this?
What are they doing?
You've still got time.
What, are you looking at her legs?
There's something I need to tell you. Making me worry like that. We'll talk later, Missy.
Oh, her accent sucks.
Nah, Fang's good. Fang's
What's
awesome.
wrong? Huh?
Huh?
Oh, nothing. Nothing. So, what's on the agenda?
I
We
mean,
also thought it was weird. For audio listeners, Fang is reunited with Vinny, and the first thing Fang does is get down on her knee and lift up her dress and go, "You've still got time." Whatever the hell that means. I forget. Like, I think they have marks on them. I think the deal is they have marks, and she probably has one on her leg or
she's
butt
got like
cheeks or
some kind of
something like
space
that.
tattoo or some kind of rune
And
or
the
whatever.
space tattoo is how much time they have left before they die or some shit like that. If I remember correctly, that's why the heroes are all brought together. They're marked.
Pratipus in the
way.
chat says she's checking her LC mark.
Let's see.
Okay, to see how much she has within her full mission. Okay, so they got like
Yeah,
little mission
yeah.
markers.
It's part of the plot, but it's just without context. Here's Scott. Here's this character. It's so weird. It's like
Yeah, so wait, she's the annoying pink-haired one, John? That's the one?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's the worst.
She grabbed the boob of that lady. She just grabbed her boob. Look at it. You can see it
Did
in the
she?
screen.
Wait,
look at
did
just
she?
the Discord post there. Look at that. Well, she got her hand right there. See?
Discord post.
Yeah,
What
where you
Discord?
put the
Oh yeah,
link.
she does have. Yeah. I mean, it's not grabbing. It's just like on
It's on it.
the booby.
It's on the boob.
It's on it.
Yeah, that would be a thing where if you did that,
Oh,
people
yeah,
would go, "Whoa,
yeah,
get your hand off my
she
boob."
does.
Yeah, Oh, that's weird.
But it's an emotional moment. Maybe it's like, well, oops, but you let it slide because your brain is elsewhere. You just don't think about it or notice it. So she copped a feel, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, considering what the character then turns around and does to her, I don't feel like it's any more familiar than just kneeling down and
I
immediately.
can't remember
lifting
if
up
if they're a lover relationship or if they're like a mother-daughter relationship.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Well,
something like
one
that,
of
like
those
guardianship.
makes the behavior that we're watching okay, and one of those does not. So,
I mean, it's all okay. It's an alien world. They have different customs, right?
Yeah, they're all feeling a little different about everything, and we should encourage.
Anyways, does this make you want to play it more?
I kind of do want to play it, if I'm honest. I kind of want to get in
Yeah,
there.
like Vinny is tolerable. Like Zaz is great. You're gonna love Chocobo Afro Man.
All right,
He's
I'm
great.
in.
And Lightning's awesome. And honestly, like Do-Rag Trenchcoat Punching Man is all right too. I think it's Titus is who I don't, or not Titus, but
Edith?
volleyball guy.
Oh, no.
You know his buddy volleyball guy.
Waka?
Yeah. he's like I'm like, this isn't
Wow.
cool. He's like a volleyball guy. That's his thing. He's like, hey, bro, and he hits the volleyball. I'm like, I'm supposed
Yeah,
to
it's
play
true.
this game? Like, oh my god.
That's true.
Why is he's into volleyballs?
Yeah,
One
that's
of the guy's
a Final
weapons
Fantasy
is,
X character. He fights with
Yeah.
a volleyball.
yeah.
Really?
It's a blitz ball,
volleyball.
but it's basically a volleyball.
I mean, he looks like a beach guy with crazy hair, and he's got a ball. He's like, "Hey, bro, let's fight some monsters or some." He's,
That's
the
really nutty.
party in Final Fantasies, they got winners, they got losers. They got people for, whatever your taste may be.
Sure.
And for every cool blue cat with a spear, there's a guy that's going to fight with a volleyball.
Sure. And that's really, in the end of it, that's what you want. You want a guy with a volleyball in the end, I always say. Bo, are you still in the Hades Disco Elysium loop there? How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Disco Elysium on stream, but I haven't played that much just because it's a very intense game. Oh my god. Super intense. But anyways, so I haven't been playing that much, but I've been playing a lot of Hades. I also have an addiction. I got all my weapons up to Heat 10 almost.
Ooh.
I think I won at
Nice.
Heat 9. I've made Heat 17 and I'm on the 5th, so I'm sort of pushing up the difficulty levels and just really...
Wait, does
I'm
that
really
mean you have your
grinding.
second Skelly statue?
Yes, I have Skelly statue number 2.
Nice.
And it's just another ridiculous Skelly statue.
Of
It's
course.
stupid.
Yeah.
But with that accomplishment, I have 100% of the achievements of that game on Steam.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And the book, the library book, or the codex or whatever you have, is almost full. I just need a few more onions from Erebus and 2 more credit cards from Charon. I need 1 rare fish from Chaos World and 2 common fish from Chaos World. The Chaos fish nodes are really rare spawns because you don't go to Chaos Realm that much.
Yeah. You're there to kill
And
chaos.
then-
Yeah.
Everything else I've filled out, completed. Oh, I have to visit Erebus a few more times to finish that codex entry. But pretty much almost done all the to-do list and almost bought everything. Almost done buying everything at the construction table. Don't really care about the prestige levels, but I'll probably that'll be the last thing I dump resources into. As I'm kind of addicted. I want to keep pushing my heat levels a little more and more and more. It's just been calling to me, so I've mostly been playing Hades.
Yeah.
But I did get a chance to try Splitgate.
Oh, yeah. We talked
I had
about
some
this.
people reach out to me like, "It's a bad take on your Splitgate thing. It's a fun game."
Yeah. It
And
is fun.
So I was like, "All right, well, let me try it.
It's a
You
fun
know, let me
game.
Try this."
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious. So it's a functional shooter game. Nothing super inspiring from a aesthetic point of view. Like
Yeah.
the guns are the guns you'd expect, and people look like people. It's all right, not bad.
Sure.
I give it a recommend.
Yeah.
But again, I couldn't tell if I was playing with bots or not. I mean, who the hell knows? But I got my first match, I got 14 kills, 4 deaths. I was just decimating.
Wow.
And I didn't use a single portal. I was just walking around, pop, 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 pop.
Well,
the
though,
guns
I
are
can
pretty
tell
lethal.
I can tell you already, those are not bots. You just dominated. That game doesn't have any AI in it. It's just people.
And I didn't use portals. And then the second one, I'm like, oh, I should use this portal thing. So I set up a port. I saw where they were streaming in from to fight. So I shot a portal facing. You know how they're walking and it might be a pole. So I put a portal there so they'd be their backs. And then I would stand up top and they'd shoot at me and I'd be like, I'm up here. And then I'd go around and as soon as they walk past that pole, I would shoot through the portal into their back. I just like, buck, buck. And I was just farming them over and over again. And I was standing in the same square foot of the map. Like I didn't have to go anywhere. So it was like, this is way too easy. Like it was, probably I need to like rank up and get to competitive levels. But like this high octane action they showed in the trailer, I wasn't really doing at all. I was like just camping them because they couldn't. They when they run by the pole, they weren't turning around to look like, oh, is there a portal back there? They were just running forward.
Sure.
And then I would hide behind my area and just go buck buck and shoot them in the back, and they kept filtering through that area. So I kept just farming the kills.
Yeah.
And like even they don't do play of the game; they do last kill cam. So both the kills I had last kill cam on the 2 matches I played, and they were both me just like cheesing the shit out of them. Just like hiding and then they're going buck 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 and then hiding back, and I'm like, this game's super easy. Yeah. So I don't know. It seems a little. I think it's just too hard for the average person to get into. So there's probably some hardcore people that are going to really enjoy the crazy kind of moves you could probably do as a high end player of this game. I just don't see it having a ton of mass appeal, but I recommend it as a well-made game.
Yeah, it's good. If shoots well, it's the people I tell will like it are the people. If you liked Quake Arena back in the day, Quake 3 Arena, this game is like a Quake 3 Arena with mods. Basically, is how it feels. It's like what if there was a Portal mod for Quake? It's kind of how it feels, and it works. I mean, it's fun. I found I used the portals way less than I thought I was gonna. You know what I mean?
That's just it. Like I think it's a game that only a certain slice of the people are really gonna get good with. Like it's a little brain breaking. That doesn't mean a small population of hardcore players might really get a kick out of this.
Because there's definitely some spatial like I'd use just like in Portal, but in Portal it's a slow paced kind of puzzler where I'm like, I can think about this. Now wait, if I shoot here and then do it here, oh, I see how I'll get around. In this game, you don't have time for that. So it's just like beer, and you're like, I don't know where that'll take me. I'll jump through the hole and see what happens. Like it's the Portal part of it is really confusing, but the shooting part, if you're good at shooting, you'll kill dudes.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd give it a recommend. I think it's a good game. I don't think it's going to have mass appeal the way an esport. I mean, it's got to thrive on a mass appeal. I mean, people probably not enjoy watching it that often because they're also not playing. Like I just feel like out of the esports we've seen, people for it to be popular, people also feel like they're need to be playing it, and sort of like StarCraft 2 even as that, where it's like that had a lot of viewership, but it wasn't as popular as you would have thought or it should have been, given how hard it is to be good at StarCraft 2. It's like this should be the most viewed esports event always, because it's the pinnacle of competition in a really significant way. Even other esports people will be like, yeah, StarCraft 2, but does it get watched? Nope. Fortnite competitions get watched because there's some intersectionality between cultural relevance that people are playing it and that it's also popular. And I think Splitgate's going to suffer that fate, but is it a recommend? Sure. It's a great shooter game and I enjoyed the games I played. I just think it's a bit of a tough sell long term. I don't know how they're going to deal with it.
I tend to agree. For a game for the game category that game's in though, it's experiencing more success than those usually do.
Yeah. And I mean, it's on the hype. It's new right now. So shooters, if you have a good shooter, everyone loves it for a while.
Yeah, people love shooting shit for a while.
Is it going to be on a rotation like the Call of Duties and Battle Royales? Maybe not. It might be just like Smite was a game that lasted for a long time but never really hit any fever pitch at any point.
That's a good point. Yeah,
enjoyment.
I have a theory about Call of Duty. I'll share sometime, but not today. Ooh. But I have a theory. Here's this.
That's a good question.
Time for emails. Got a couple of quick ones here. No, just one. I'm sorry, not two. I'm thinking of Film Sack. Tomorrow I got two. Anyway, this is emails we get to talktothecore@gmail.com, and we got one from Mitch, who says,
Mitch.
So I like your guys' discussion on video games addiction, he says. What do you think other red flags are that video games might be addicting? For me, a red flag that a game will be addicting for me is I have to watch a TV show, a movie, or listen to a podcast while I'm playing the video game. Video games should be a source of entertainment, and I feel like if I need to have a second source of entertainment while playing a video game, then the video game is not entertaining me. Some video games are what I call dopamine farming simulators, where people are not entertained by the game, but they still play the game to get that dopamine response. That is why have a second entertainment source. I think he means me. playing in the background in need while playing these dopamine farming simulators. It's written weird. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts? What are other red flags that you would see in video games that they have, or are they just addiction machines in video game form? So it's an interesting, addition to what we were talking about. I was thinking about this the other day. I follow this dude on TikTok who is he's an actual monk, like the Thailand style monk. Buddhist monk. Thank you. I couldn't think of the real word there. Tibetan monk, exactly. Wearing the red robe thing, and he talks on TikTok all the time about just different philosophies and all this stuff. And he's walking around this store in a video game aisle of like a Walmart or something, and he's dressed like he is in his monk clothes and stuff. And then all along this rack, there's video games, and I can see consoles and TVs and stuff. And he says, I don't know if you guys realize this, but one of the greatest examples of mindfulness in this world is video games. If you can sit down and play a video game and actually give your focus to that game, it's the ultimate form of sort of getting yourself to be mindful of one thing and one thing only, and that is that game, whatever that may be. Controlling stuff, having things happen, keeping track of a story, whatever. That's true mindfulness. It's like when a movie really gets you and grabs you emotionally, that's real mindfulness. And the concept of just really focusing on the thing that you're supposed to focus on, that games are like this ultimate version of that. And went on to say, when people struggle to pay attention while they're playing and need something else happening, that's usually a red flag that you are experiencing at least some of what some people might say are, you're symptomatic of attention deficit disorder, but you also might be just you got too many inputs all the time, and you got to have them all happening at once. And if they're not, something feels wrong, and that's just too much. But if you can really play a game, like I'm going to just say this, I believe John is one of the more mindful game players I know, because he can start the game, give his whole focus and attention to it, finish that game, and never have really strayed from it. And I'm somewhere on the side of like, I can do that for a big chunk of time, but then I'm like, oh, I can't. I got to do something else, and I have to bounce off, or whatever. And I'm not saying like there's some, you could make an argument that playing an MMO and having a rerun of some show you like on the background, that's a cool combo. And I actually think maybe that's true.
I think that's probably fine.
Yeah, it's probably okay.
Like, because my reaction to what he said was like, I used to work at Gap as a stock person. I'd be in the back room alone. I turned the talk radio on. This is before podcasting. That's how I got into the habit of listening to podcasts. Was before I would listen to the radio and do my work. And whenever I have boring work that doesn't involve any interaction, I love to throw a podcast on. It helps the time go by while you're doing something dull.
Sure.
And I think sometimes when you're playing video games, like, World of Warcraft, getting in and do your dailies and stuff, maybe it's okay that you're doing that. And maybe it's nice to throw in a podcast while you're doing, you've heard the great music 100 times. You throw on a TV show or something. I feel like that's okay because you're doing one task and you're sort of, you might be right about the mindfulness thing, where I would say if you're doing two things at once, maybe you question the value of that primary thing you're doing. Mm-hmm. Like maybe that's not giving you a lot of value. I think that like where I see what you're saying, Scott, is on that.
Yeah.
But I think the addiction is literally if you tell yourself you don't want to do something and you're doing it anyways, like that's the litmus test. Otherwise, it's probably not addiction. Like it's the inability to keep yourself from doing something on some level you don't want to do, but you're doing it anyways. Like that, So watching Trailer Park Boys while I'm doing daily quests and World of Warcraft, like that doesn't sound like addiction. That just sounds like I'm doing two low attention effort things at once.
Right.
But if I wake up and be like, I'm not playing WoW today, and then I find myself playing WoW, which has happened, then you want to go like, okay, like I'm having I'm having difficulty controlling my impulse towards this activity. Right. I think that's what you really want to think about. That's just my
I'm actually 100% with Bo on that. Like when I first heard this email, read this email, I was kind of in the same boat of like, that doesn't sound at all like addiction. And I think Bo said it really, really well with, now where I do agree, and I think a good case can be made for what the emailer is saying, is if you are playing a game to be entertained and you are so unentertained by that you're like, well, I'm gonna put something else on because this isn't doing it. I do think there is a point where you look at that and go, am I really having fun? Am I really doing something that I'm enjoying? And I can see how someone might infer that as being like, oh, well, I'm addicted because look, I'm playing this even though I'm not enjoying it.
Mhm.
I don't know if I would go so far as to say addiction, but I definitely do think that that's worth stopping and looking at and going, why do I feel like I need extra stuff stimulating me when this technically should be enough?
Mhm.
And I appreciate what Scott said because I can be all over the place. Like I almost always have a second screen. And the other day I turned off my second computer and I was just playing something on the one and I felt so uncomfortable. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm just looking at the one screen. There's not something else happening over to the side of me. What's going on?"
Mhm.
And it was my attention wasn't being divided into a bunch of different places all at once, and it was
Having
scary and new for the first time in a really long time.
having the radio on is like a normal, like while you're doing some activities, turning on the radio. No one's gonna say like that doesn't sound like a problem, right?
I
Like
don't, yeah.
if you're doing a crossword or reading the newspaper and you turn the radio on to listen to the ball game, like before computers, it's like this is an addiction problem. It's just you like a lot of noise. It's just
Yeah.
that's just an ambiance you like, and maybe it's definitely not mindful. Like the Tibetan monk could be like, ah, I'm so uncomfortable.
It's like
But
if you're
I know lots of people that like love lots of noise in their life. Like that's fine.
if you're
right?
watching
Like,
if you're watching The Wire, but you're also trying to play Disco Elysium, you might have a problem because both of those things are going to require a lot of cognitive effort to pay attention to the story. And there's two major stories happening at once. I don't think we're good at that. But having the radio
you're-
on in the
you're not
background,
enjoying either of them to the fullest potential if
Right.
you're not devoting your attention to it.
right?
But like,
And
if,
I don't
if
think
you're watching Trailer
anything-
Park Boys and doing a crossword puzzle, like that's fine. The
That's
crossword
fine.
puzzle doesn't need a lot of energy, and neither
Sure.
does Trailer Park Boys for that matter.
I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with doing it. I think
Right.
that it can certainly be signs of problems. I have found that I'm more able to focus on a singular thing when I am in a better mental state
Mm-hmm.
because it's just sort of human nature. If you're unhappy, if you're feeling depressed, if you're kind of living inside your own head, one of the ways human beings tend to combat that is they busy themselves. They put on so much stuff, they literally can't focus on the problems at hand. I'm guilty of doing that too. So sometimes if I'm doing a lot of multitasking, it can be a sign that I'm not currently happy or not currently in a good headspace.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I also, sometimes there's a time when you need to focus. And the other day I was doing a dungeon in Final Fantasy 14, and I was very nervous about it because I was playing a class that I don't usually play. It was one of the ones that's considered a little more challenging. I had only ever done it once, and I definitely didn't look up the fights before I went in. I just wasn't expecting to get it on the random roulette. And so all of a sudden I was laser focused on this dungeon. Everything on the second screen was shut off. And in the middle of it, my wife asked me what my parents' address was. And I said, it's I can't tell you right now. And because I couldn't for the life of me think of what their address was. And I was like, I just can't tell you. I'll tell you later. And so I kept playing. And the second that dungeon ended, it popped into my head. Like it was waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
And the second I didn't have to commit that concentration to it, I just turned to her and immediately said it without any thought whatsoever. Because you can lock your focus onto things, and it can be a very good, I'm going to block everything else out tool as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Games are like anything else. If you're an accountant and you're trying to take care of a bunch of numbers and also trying to pay attention to old Golden Girls reruns I don't know why that's the example, but whatever. You might have trouble.
Split your attention, and your attention is less quality.
Yeah.
But the listener did want to talk about other red flags, and it's pretty much, you can watch there's probably a lot of information about addiction and what they are. It's the common things, like if you're lying about your spending to others, if you're taking money that you shouldn't, or lying to yourself maybe, or knowing you're making poor choices but doing them anyways about money or about time. Maybe you're avoiding things in your life by playing video games. You have things you have to deal with. It's the classic stuff. And, you know, if you make a plan not to do it and you find yourself doing it anyways, and then you find that that's happening a lot, then, you know, the classic behaviors of addiction, they're pretty much what's kind of neat about it is that they're sort of universal, whether it's gambling or drugs or anything. It's like you can take that, you can take those things that people sort of point to as addiction indicators and just apply them to any of those activities. So, you know, if you're concerned about yourself, you should, you know, look up addiction information, like, because it's a contentious issue. Because I think it's in the DSM, the new DSM as well, but it's still like new, and you know, it's like, video games really, and it's like, you know, because we come from an era where people wanted to take away our video games for stupid reasons, but there is, you know, just follow the path of what traditional addiction looks like, because it's the same. There are commonalities between, you know, gambling and porn and sex addiction and drug addiction, and like there are commonalities. So you can look at, it's the inability to it's somehow negatively affecting your life in some way, and you have an inability to fix it on your own. You find yourself doing it anyways.
Let me ask you this. What does it say about me that while we had this discussion, I was able to hold this discussion and be intelligent about it, but also clear 3 lawns with my lawnmower?
Yeah, because you're an addict, dude. You're like, you have a responsibility. You're doing a podcast. You think I'm playing games while we're doing the show? You can't even wait 5 minutes till the show's almost over, Scott. You bloody addict.
You bloody addict.
You're like, I'm going to prove a point how I can multitask.
So funny that this is what Scott did, because if you want my red flag is that I catch myself justifying things that maybe don't necessarily need to be justified or shouldn't be justified. It turns into, I'll give you a perfect example, buying the Lifetime Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
I sat there accountable to nobody. Yeah. Nobody was coming in and going, what are you doing with that money? You got to tell me what you're doing. I was just sitting there to myself going, no, because if I play, well, how many months is that if I'm paying a monthly subscription? This is value. I'll definitely do that. Anytime I start having a weird little negotiation with myself to justify what I'm doing is usually a sign that I'm on the wrong path at the very least. And so looking at Scott going like, hold on, if I mow a couple lawns, I can prove that I can be distracted, but also be a part of this show. Yeah. That would be a red flag for me. If I did that, I'd go, well, maybe I need to.
For the record, it was mostly for content that I did this, but yeah, my also the other point that I think it maybe does help prove, if there is one to prove, is that some games are more of a problem than others. In other words, this is just a dumb mow that lawn game. It's literally called literally mowing lawn, or it's literally just mowing is the name of the game. And you can flick, and pay attention to a million other things with this. But I can't do that in, I don't know. I got that new Pathfinder game.
I'm just joking. You're not an ad. It's like if you couldn't help yourself.
Like
right. In your head said, "Oh, I'm going to put this away," and then you're like, "But I can't."
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I can definitely put this thing away. Like that has not been a problem. In fact, I didn't touch it for 4 days, but
you're still playing it right
now. Yeah. Well, I was mid-lawn when we were talking.
I can stop anytime, but I'm in the middle of the lawn.
Shut up about addiction. Let me play my game.
The good news is I dropped a big, huge, epic box that you get all kinds of purple shit out of. Just dropped. So before you know it,
I think, John, you had a bit of sunk cost fallacy too with that Lifetime, because also it's like all the people who support Star Citizen. Like, I spent $1,000. I have to play this game, and I have to say it's super good and believe in it. It's like, well, you just don't want to feel shame for the money you blew.
Oh no, I feel shame because I will be completely honest and say, that I would have gotten my money's worth if you took into account the alpha and the beta to that game. But that game came out on official launch. I didn't play. I played maybe 10 minutes of it.
So you paid to beta test it. You literally.
I basically, my gameplay time for the game that I bought a Lifetime subscription to was enough time to buy the Lifetime subscription to it and go, all right, I got it. I can come back whenever I want, and then never came back.
That is so weird. That's such a weird thing, isn't it? Like, is that the weirdest thing you've ever done game-wise? Like, bought when it comes to like
I
a
bought a Frostmourne, and I feel like that was another.
yeah, but that's a real
Stupid.
sword, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, and
cool.
it's sitting in my parents' garage.
Oh, can I have it?
I don't even have it with me. It's just collecting dust in my parents' garage.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. And nobody's in a rush to like display their Frostmournes at the
It's
moment.
true. I don't play with my Diva gun nearly as much as I thought I would.
I'm trying to think. Like, I am in the mode these days of getting rid of stuff more than I am collecting more.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just entering a new phase of that. You know, everything's digital. It's a little bit throwaway. Maybe that's okay.
There's definitely a bit of that. Like I definitely remember there was a magic even to buying D&D box sets and stuff like that. Like that's a bit of an addiction. Like buying those books. Like you only need a couple books to run a game, but like those books are they smell good and they got nice art.
Yeah.
You want to buy like at one point. That's why I have all those 4th edition books. Like at one point, I was just like every new paycheck, I'm like, let me go to Fandom 2, my local game shop here, where the worst customer service, although it's awesome. There's this cranky old guy that basically tells people to F off because all these normies come in and ask him questions about nerd games, and he's like, yeah, leave me the F alone. Like, what do you want? Buy it and get out. And I just kind of loved him for it.
Yeah.
They were war gamers and D&D players, and every week I would go add another book to my 4th edition collection, and then I don't use them, which is why I'm very like reticent about 5th edition. So I'm like, I've been down this road before.
Yeah, you've gotten suckered before on this deal.
Yeah, so it's like there's something nice about having the artifact in your hand. So I understand,
Well,
and I do kind of miss feeling that way about products.
Sure.
Honestly,
Can you tell me what this stuff is up on your shelf? I just put a little screen grab in the Discord. Is that a bear?
What,
a couple of bears?
What are you looking for here?
He's
Do you
looking
see
at
it
the
in the
bear.
Discord?
Yeah, that's a bear. That's like it was a birthday or Christmas thing. Somebody
Aw.
gave me a bear.
That's
and
cute.
I put it there and I just left it there.
That's fine. That's good. I
Yeah,
just was curious because it looked like a cute little bear there and watching over you
Yeah,
while you're
he's
doing
a cute
stuff.
little bear.
Yeah.
It's like a Ouija board my mom made from scratch.
A
That's over
Ouija
there.
board, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Really? Your mom made your own Ouija board?
She made all her kids Ouija boards. Like we all have
Holy
one.
shit, that's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a movie in there somehow where everything goes wrong. I mean, not in real life, but you know, you can make a
Arts
movie.
and craftsy people, and that staff there, you've seen that before. My aunt made that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Very
awesome.
cool.
It's you're infected with staph. You have a staph infection. All right.
Yep. Magic staff.
Well, there you go. That's your emails, and that was great. Great email, thoughtful stuff from Mitch. If you want to be like Mitch, send your emails to talktothecore@gmail.com. Now that I think about it, I think Mitch may have come from the blog, and I pulled it from there. But either way,
Okay.
talktothecore@gmail.com is our email address if you got any thoughts or feelings or comments. And one thing I was going to tell you about the Matrix thing that I totally forgot to say is that apparently, well, all right, the trailer features no Morpheus, okay?
Yeah.
The word is, and whether this all comes true or not, who knows? I still think maybe they're holding off to show him later or revive him or something, but he died in the Matrix MMO.
Yes.
So if the movie like not only adheres to that lore and makes it canon, but also like maybe even references it, that's kind of cool. That they
no, Matrix Online is canon.
Is it canon?
All the extra content, like Enter the Matrix, the video game. I think there's a Path of Neo video game, as well as a Matrix MMO is canon material.
I didn't know that. That's cool. That's so cool to me. I love that they're sticking to that. So, but
we're not sure if that's like the great grandson of Morpheus, if that's a wannabe Morpheus who just modeled himself after it, maybe his avatar. Or
I still think
it
Morpheus
is
shows up.
in
He's
a new
showing up
body.
later. He's showing up later. He's totally going to show up. I'm telling you right now. Let me make a prediction. Toward the end of that movie, Lawrence Fishburne's in it. You watch.
Well, he's publicly said that he wasn't even contacted about the film.
I
but
can't
hopes it does
imagine.
Well, but
That's
I mean,
what
that
you'd
could be-
say.
Who knows?
That's what you'd say.
I know.
You're so locked in on not doing it. That's what you'd say. And you
I
might
mean, he's
even
in the John Wick movies. Like,
Yeah, so when they connect, he's technically in it at that point.
yeah, right, right.
As the
John Wick
the
takes
bird
place
guy.
in the Matrix.
Yeah, I knew it was true. Bring back Joey Pants in his role of eating steak. That'd be cool. Anyway, that's the end of the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Chat room can probably not hear me anymore because for some reason Twitch's ingest servers are all taking a dump tonight, and we had a real hard time keeping the stream up. But don't worry, I'll put the vlog back up in its full form. And I want to thank everybody out there who supports the show. If you haven't yet, check us out at patreon.com/coreshow. That's how we keep the lights on here, and you guys have been great lately. Keep it up. We're in the middle of a early-ish new month, and September's long from over. So great time to jump on, get some great benefits while you do it, and support your favorite video games podcast. For everything else, at frogpants.com/core is the place to go. And you can find us all on Twitter, Bo Schwartz, Scott Johnson, John_Jagger, and of course the show can be found at CorePod. Before we leave, John, final words.
This was all in the Matrix.
Oh, good.
I had nothing. I'm gonna be honest with y'all.
Yeah.
I was looking up dinner for after the show ended, and I just spit all over myself looking at it, doing this. Let's move on.
You're so hungry. You're slobbering all over your future dinner choice.
Yep.
That's a great idea. Bo Schwartz, final words.
There is no spoon.
Oh, I knew it.
Look at that. He thought of a quote.
Yeah,
He really elevated it.
That was really good. Well done. All right.
I've watched the Matrix films like 5,000 times. I know them all.
Me too. That first one is the best. Those other two are crap, except for that freeway scene. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for being here, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on Core.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Gosh dang
So
it.
I want to say
Steam.
a good way to frame this is that the Matrix